I just posted something on Facebook where I tagged this man. We have never met. I figured, let's have some fun. So I'm trying to go live now, see if I can grab his attention simply by using these tools online, not reaching out to him directly, tagging him, letting other people know that this is happening, because who the fuck knows what this could do. And then just, let's see where it goes, right? And while he's working on that, I can look around and see what I can do from my side. Who knows? Maybe we should just launch this inside of the Legacy Forge as well. Gonna see where it goes. This is gonna be interesting. He is focused though, because I did tag him, so he does not have a... Facebook is not a distraction right now. But who knows? Maybe someone he knows will see it, because I'm the only one, as you can see right next to me here, I'm the only one watching this stream right now. So I recommend, or I respect this guy. I respect the fact that he's doing this, even though there's nobody watching. That's how you should do it. Just go online to show people what you're doing. And by doing that, people see what you're doing. I mean, I'm watching right now, I'm watching a video of 𝐓𝐡𝐞. If you don't know who that is, in 2016 he uploaded his first YouTube video, and today he's a 23-year-old multimillionaire living in Dubai. And he's talking about the same things that we are. Literally. And in that video he's actually giving away his 3 keys to wisdom. And so now, as we are here at this point in time, this specific, very specific point in time, where so many things are happening, both for me, other experts, and people around in the industry and in the world, and just in general, humanity in general. It's really interesting to see people who is doing the exact same thing that these proven cases have done. The exact same thing as Iman. Simply trying, not being afraid to fail. And then when he reaches success, people ask, how did you reach success? What is the secret? This, you're watching this right now, this is the secret. This guy, if he keeps up this tempo, this motivation, this drive to continue to work undisrupted, live on a Facebook, being as chill as he is right now, that is like inevitable success. It sounds weird, but that is how it is today. That's literally what success looks like. And he doesn't have to be live all the time. He can start to create videos, and then those videos will just work for him because they will not be taken down. And then you grow one step at a time. It is insane. It's insane what could happen if you just keep up the consistency. I feel like I'm a sports narrator for a working entrepreneur. Never seen that before. That's something new. Maybe we should make a show out of it. Okay, so what can I do? I could post this into the group where he's active. And if you're in chat, if you're looking at this right now, let me know. Come with insights. Like, pitch me ideas. What do we do to get him? The rules are simple. We do not reach directly out to him. Okay? We cannot just go and ping him through a DM or message. This is going to prove a larger scale strategy. So keep your eyes on this. If you're looking to create something online, what we're doing now is literally a live example of how you can connect to people without connecting to people. Like these peripheral connections. I did that to Hamza yesterday, Alex Hormozy today. I've been doing it to Joe Rogan a few times lately. I did it to Jesse Elder, and now we are on track to become friends. I'm investing in his program this week. Oh God, I cannot believe it. Life is good. I gotta say, I do like his taste. It's really chill. And I have this, I like chilled vibes. Should we? Oh no, I can't. I wanted to comment. kind of wanted to comment on his thing, but that is kind of cheating. Now I also see that I should have had more screens. I have 3, I need more. Luxury problems. He smiled a little bit. But he hasn't seen anything yet. I'm gonna see if this is going where it's supposed to. I think actually I am gonna get Tribe in on this. Holy shit, I have been really active today. I've created a lot of things. Everyone is invited to chat while we drink coffee, maybe talk about the universe and spy. Hello, industry experts. It's cool to have a community where you can just, you know, join us. Okay, so that's up there. And the community is also growing every single day. So if you... Oh, damn, it's not there. If you want to join the community, join the community. Hold on. I need more screens. I can't see this, all the things all the time. There we go. The Legacy Forge is just in the beginning, by the way, so it's going to become something that I cannot really fathom right now, and it's happening every single day. So if you want to be part of this community right now is the time to get in, because it's morphing and it's shaping every single day. The Legacy Forge.
thelegacyforge.com.
It's free, so you don't have anything to lose other than the life that you live now if you don't love it. You love it. He still hasn't seen anything. The man is called... What is his name? Should I say his name? No, I'm not going to do a lot to manipulate the way I'm going to reach out to this guy. If you guys reach out to him saying that this is happening, that's something completely different, because that's also something that should be almost recommended. Like Hamza. I created this description in the video to reach out to Hamza, and I just trust that he has diehard fans that is going to see a video that is well produced about Hamza almost, so that he's going to get notified because he sees that his community is talking about it, and then he's gonna bam, and then I'm gonna bam, and then we're gonna bam. That's how it works. It sounds so bam, but it's good. It's really fun as well. And it's a fun marketing strategy, because if you have... Should I turn down the volume on the music? And then... If you have a genuine interest... And this is going to sound fucked up to some of you guys, but if you have a genuine interest to do something that is going to take your life to the next level, investing with the people you want to become is a really good way. And I'm talking investing. It should hurt. Like $6,000 should... It works as a very good goal. Because if you have to work to get that kind of money, to just give that to someone, you're going to apply yourself hard to reach the results that you want. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you don't have anything to lose, then what the fuck is the point to try to do anything? From offline to online, a practical tech guide for coaches. So that's what he's working on. He's making a deliverable, a value asset, you know, a giveaway, an opt-in. He's creating something that he can... he's probably going to charge a little bit of money for this, because it does seem like he's putting a decent amount of effort into it. This is how I created the field guide. What is the field guide, you ask? No, it's basically a psychedelic trip blueprint. I thought I had it here actually, but I didn't. No, I don't have it. I have something else. Like I have this. What? It's gone? Oh, there it is. Look at that. Oh, that's amazing. I thought I had these other things here as well, but I'm pretending to know what I'm doing. Yeah, don't tell me that I don't know how to know myself. I really want to go into, you know, the production value of all this. And now I'm going to focus on doing that. I'm going to get more into it. It's going to look freaking amazing. Also, I wanted to go back into Call of Duty, but time has not allowed me, and I have to prioritize. This is literally me taking a break, and I'm taking a break by spying on fellow experts in the industry. That is... not sure if that's a good thing. Yeah, he's also grooving. I do like his music. It does take you. You know, I'm pounding my chest, kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street. Just... should I get more coffee? That's the question. I have had so much coffee so far. I drink enormous amounts of coffee. Enormous amounts. Like stupid amounts. I should definitely stop drinking that much coffee. But I'm thinking, you know, right now, I'm in a period where I can almost enjoy the residual parts of my old life. And then as I step into the next one, I can bring on better habits like mushroom coffee and stuff. Right now, I'm good. I can do these things. Also, a coffee maker in the office is a fucking godsend. But I'm gonna mute myself because you don't want to hear my coffee machine boiling water. Okay, my coffee's done. I had another idea. As I was sitting here reflecting on what I want to share, because today I created a video about how horrible the industry is. Like the fakeness of it all. This is a person who's actually putting in the work. He's putting in the effort. But I have another guy, and what fascinates me there is just the psychology. So I want to take his example almost. I want to share something about how he's doing things and my views on that. And then if that makes sense, great, because I think that could be a very valuable learning experience as well as you get into this. If you were to be a person who wants to do something that most people cannot, simply in living life in a way that most people can't because they're limited by financial situations or whatever have you. you have to learn a few things, and in those things there are frameworks, principles. It's not like you have to learn a script and you have to go and just do the things like a robot. It's about knowing the principles behind why it works. And you can see then why the industry is not saturated. You know, if you have some knowledge, if you have expertise that you want to bring to the table, it's not saturated because most of the people are going to be in a very specific kind of way. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in just a minute. Also, by the way, I have a event that I have to jump into. Like in about 30 minutes, I will go into a training of sorts, which is a example of what exactly this all is. Like if you were to click on a link that gives you a resource that you can get for free, but you have to add your email and all that stuff, you can do the same thing by giving something to people through a live mastermind, a live group session, whatever it is, coaching session. There are, like, the sky's the limit. There are no limits. He's gonna do that in 30 minutes. That's one, and it's called the Sales Vortex. I believe that if you're gonna do anything, at least try to fake interest in learning these things that is going to set you free. Because if you don't, then why the fuck are you even trying to Google how to make money online? It's very much about learning how sales, psychology, marketing, all these things work, and then how to use that in the best way that is authentic to you. It's not about being a person that you're not, putting on the mask of the salesman. You know, because that is also, you can use the frameworks on both ends, and that's what's so fucking horrible about this. People will do that to manipulate people. They will do that in order to make money from people. And they will do that only because of the money. Yeah. So there are two ways of doing it. You can make money doing it as a normal person, a good person, a genuine person who wants to actually do something good, or you can do it as an evil motherfucker and just rip people off. I'm not going to teach you the evil way. I'm going to teach you the principles that I firmly believe in that allows people to see who you are. I've never done this. Like, I've never actually shared a day in the life and talking about these things that actually make this life happen. Like, how is this possible? Because many people have asked me when I'm not out adventuring, how can you do that? Well, I'm going to show you. But 98.97% of you don't have time for that shit. You have Netflix shows to watch. It's also interesting because your priorities shift when you see that your life is literally shifting with them. And right now, you can join us in the Legacy Forge, or you can join us in the YouTube chat. If you do it in the YouTube chat, you can actually talk to me right here. You can, like, have your voice heard on stream. And when this video has millions of views because it was one of the first videos in this type of content on this channel, and people want to learn the things that they have found this channel through, you know, living life as they intend to, then you might be famous. You might say, "Hey, Mom, I'm on a show. I was on TV. Actually, I was on something more famous than TV." Yeah, I know. Sometimes I sound arrogant. But with good reason, because if I do, then I have huge goals to aspire to, and when I go for those goals, it's hard to miss any big milestones because it's just one way, part of the way to the goal. I do smoke, which is a bad habit, and I just realized that I might have a problem. I'm running out of tobacco, which is a good thing. I should take that as a good sign. The Dream 100 concept, your road to connect them the shakers, the movers and shakers in your field. This is literally what I'm doing quite literally right now. You're connecting with the people, the 100 people that you would like to be in service with, for partnerships and have in your circles. You reach out to those people. I know it sounds daunting with 100 people, but you reach out to them, and then statistically, if you have anything good to offer, you're going to get through to one of those. It's literally just taking it from the top down, picking the lowest hanging fruit first. This is a brilliant strategy. I like this. This is very much like a sports event. Commenting on online business practices. I do want to let him know that we're watching, but I don't want to take him out as it flow, and I don't want to reach out directly because that would kind of go away. It would go against the entire reason for doing this. Remember to join our Facebook group, Funnel Titans. I think I got invited to that. He needs more photos. I've seen he's using the same photos all over. Ah, he does have a signage. That's good. I also have that. His looks way cooler though. That looked great. See? Just a picture, just a PNG of a signature makes it look so fucking good. It does not take a lot, guys. And it makes it improves your brand. Like, you look like an actual professional when you add some basic stuff like that. It is basic, but people don't want to do that. I wonder, you know, sorry, I have to really learn what your name is. Tong. See, I'm from Norway, and we have my name is Tor, so maybe you're that's the Asian equivalent of Tor. Tong. I like that. That's going to make me remember it easily. But when you see this, I like what you're doing here, and this is something that I see could be done more times. We should talk about how to make this a thing, to kind of inspire the community a little bit. Bring out the people who's just saying, I want this and I want that. The tire kickers, you know who I'm talking about. The two-step funnel guys, or this two-step post. Who here wants access to my XYZ? Link in the comments. I hope that this is not that. I am very interested to see where you're going to take this. That's going to be interesting. And I also wonder, why do you not have more screens? It makes things a lot easier. This also made it very much easier for me because I can literally just sit here and he is providing the music. He's providing everything that I need. He's even working. I'm just sitting here watching him and creating content off his back. Sorry, Tong. For me, it sounds like, as I'm thinking about it, it's a pretty ingenious marketing method. Let's dub it something. The parasite method. I actually don't hate that. Copy pastinitis 2.0. No, copy pastinitis is something completely different. I'm going to talk about that as well. Look at him. Slaving away even there. And look at his setup now. Before and after here is amazing. Ah, you want it to be... Yeah. You should make it free-flowing, and then you can just... There we go. Wrap. Oh, you did a wrap. I never do that, because it is paragraphing. Right? Yeah. No. No. No, break text. Break text. You didn't click break text. Then it's gonna be, you know, no, actually that looks so much better. I'm gonna just, that looks a lot better than having it between the title and the body. I like how you are obsessive about the size. Next step, dear coach.
You're probably tired of handful of tactics. You've probably tried a handful.
God damn, you're going too fast, Hung. Time for you to stop trading hours. God damn it. Click here to join our funnel. God damn it! Okay, today, Tim used... Tim Zhang? Why do you call Chong? Why does it say Tong Zhang? Bro. Misleading marketing. Just kidding. Tim. That's so much easier to remember. Tim and Tor. Doing the coaching narration. Spying on people without them knowing about it. You can go into Facebook now, by the way. If you go into Facebook, you can... QR code generator! Oh my god. That's awesome. I'm going to have one of those. Can those be used in an app? I'm creating an app for Saga. At Linkila. What is this? Oh my god, I love this. Look at him. Look at him. It's a tracking software. He's tracking the numbers. I don't do that. Yeah, I know. I should have. Oh, there's different categories to it. Today, I hired a team. Oh my god. It was literally just a place. Oh my god. It's a one-place shop for QR codes to be tracked when people click on them. And just, that is beautiful. See, I've been focusing a lot on other things. Today, I hired 2 virtual assistants that can create those things, like a system for the links and tracking the users of links. You're going to go all in now? No, you don't have to post-process this in Photoshop, right? And it's in the cloud as well. Look at that organization skills, guys. Look at those. Look at those folders. He knows where things are. Well, no, he's actually searching for something. Where did you put those QR codes? He has not created... Yeah, there is bound to be one. Facebook group QR. This is amazing. I hope you're having half as much fun as I am. Okay, so he did not... Is this his first QR? I don't think it is, because that Linkila, it looked like it was, it looked like a few. I doubt this is the first time he's used that. But a QR code for the Facebook group. Dude. Beautiful. And QR codes are bound to be mobile, right? Everyone uses mobile today, so... Fucking win. Here I am spying inside of your folders. Look at that. Look at that! Now, I like that. But you should have the signature, like warm regards underneath. Oh no, he's gonna do a twofer. Yes, take the link. Linkila. Go back to Linkila. You have the link in there. Remember, you put that in to create that. Yes. What are you doing? Click. Yeah, the entire thing. The entire thing, because it's going to be more visual. I guess you could go in there as well, but... Take the link. 88. It's already doing great. Get that in that hyperlink. Populate those text characters. Look. Yeah, okay, maybe. I've never used brackets in the CTAs, actually. They do point things out. Look now, he's coming. He's coming. This is so interesting. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat, literally. Will he see us now? Will he come across the stream and then just... What are you doing? I'm actually taking you by the neck. I'm tossing you into the ether sphere of the digital age. Now we're in Canvas. Now he's going to create an image. Now we're talking He just finished the ebook. That was... Holy shit. He's probably been working on this for a long time. Or he has been using AI to just fly through the process. what ebook designer you're gonna choose, because it does seem like he has a brand in mind. Very dark, elegant, professional, exclusive, golden characters, very like luxury characters, like Aviano, or is it Aviator? I'm not sure. I think it's Aviano. The pleasure thing there. That probably got there. The magic. No? Okay. No, there's so many good ones here though. Oh, he has a specific design in mind, and they had a lot of designs. I gotta hand it to Canva. They are really doing a good job. Oh my god, are you going to go for self? Yes, your face. But you need more photos. Yeah, you need more photos. Like that image, your hair is completely different. That doesn't look like you. It looks like some business dude from Tokyo. That is not you, Timmy. He does not look like a Timmy. Oh, but dude. Oh, I see where he's going. This has some potential to be interesting. Look at him trying to find the perfect angle. It's very nicely centered though. Oh, this is interesting. You know your way around design, bro. Join our community. I pictured that this was going to be one of those what's in it for us, or is it just going to be one of those slogans on the book, and the book itself is going to be the now I don't know if I'm as excited anymore. I hope you can bring this back, Tim. I was feeling good. Futura, Montserrat. Mont. That's an interesting font. Caveat, I've used that. The QR code? No. Oh yes, he got some brand colors. See? But are you gonna have it white, or are you gonna add some black? Because I always start with the background. Yeah. If it was black, bro, it would be better. I'm not sure. I'm just a very mystical and dark person. There's something that happens with a dark, good, tasteful background. I ended up at 12, 12, 15 myself. The gray, darkish. Almost like the YouTube thingy, but you can't see that because you're seeing the stream. Almost like the gray, a little darker than the gray between, the huge gap between his camera and you need a streaming software, bro. Now you're gimmicking it. Oh no, the QR code. Oh, interesting. I made coffee and I haven't drank any of it. It's just sitting there, being all enticing and stuff. Flip it horizontally. Bam. Vertically. Oh, didn't see that coming. I was sure that was going to be a horizontal flip. Maybe you should do he's using Canva. I use Photoshop. It would be interesting to see our different workflows. And also I would love to see if other people have workflows, because I feel like I don't. I've just implemented something lately that is kind of working, but I'm still trying to make it the best it can be. Canva look at that face. The moment you know you're screwed up. But it wasn't that big of a screw up. Now that's a focus face. That is him being... Oh, he's talking as well. I can't hear your microphone, bro. Go into Facebook. Check out Facebook. There are so many things that has happened on Facebook since you were there. I could do this every day. I'm going to make sure that this is done at least once a week. Maybe every 2 weeks. I have kids, And I do have to be on my my campfire sites. You cannot suffer the past or future because they do not exist. What you are suffering from is your memory and your imagination. Very true. Very true. Tell me if he is going into Facebook, because I need to see that. I'm going to read some motivational quotes while we're at this.
Enlightenment is a lot like dying. You might wonder why there aren't more enlightened people. It's because they are afraid to die.
Oh, that rings true on so many levels. God damn, that was really good, actually. What is a soul? What is a soul partner? What meaning is put into it? I have a lot of things to say on that, but I don't know if I should be typing on my keyboard while I'm stalking Timmy. What? Let's discuss this a little bit, actually. You're watching this, and if you're watching the replay of this, comment #replay, and then followed by your comment. What is a soul partner for you? A soul friend? What does that mean for you? What meaning does it have conceptually or contextually? And what does it mean for you? I have seen things in terms of love and in terms of partnerships and in terms of flow and all these different things for a good time now, and oh nice, it sends an email. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly how powerful it is. I'm gonna have to fart. Oh, that was good, actually. So I've been trying to figure out, how can I define that? How can I make sense of it? Because that's how my brain works. It never turns off. And I've been feeling things. So as you're feeling new things and you're getting into a new state of mind and you're seeing things differently, your paradigm is shifted, and all because of this love energy, this connection you have with the partner, kind of redefines love a bit. And then the way I met this specific partner, Michelle, was during an event that I see have a lot of importance in terms of how, you know, lovers meet, I guess. Because we met on a festival, 𝐓𝐡𝐞 in Norway, where we both were there for the Viking music, the Viking vibe and all that stuff, and we just instant dent in the universe. I've showed this before, where I had this picture of my stupid face as, you know, in the same moment almost, in the same smile I had as Michelle had left the site for the first time we met. And, you know, the things that came from that meeting, it's kind of hard to grasp the shifts that happen in the reality because of that. And it started to make me think about what is a soul friend, a soul partner, it's a twin flame and all that stuff. And it goes way beyond what most people would say is love. It's not a box, it's a frequency. And that frequency grew with us facing our fears, basically. I mean, the family got split up because of a deportation. Check that out on the 100 challenge on YouTube. The actual moment where they got deported. It's one of the hardest, if not the hardest moment of my life. And that was with just one of the things. You know, I invested for the first time as I was with her, and it was under such circumstances that it had to change who we were. And she was not even a citizen, so, you know, we went through the separation process and the state, the foreign department, and all those fucking idiots. Also a YouTube video on this channel. Cosmocentric. The story of a cosmocentric Viking entrepreneur or something. In that video, I was just sharing my story, and during that story, as I was coming up to that point in time where I lost them to deportation, the foreign state department was standing on my property, interrupting the video in the same moment I was talking about them for the first time in the years after they had come back. I think it was in 2020, 3 years ago. and they were deported in 2018. So it's insane. Just, if you've been following my stuff, if you've been following my story and stuff, and you've seen what has happened that has been documented, one cannot not wonder. You know, can't avoid wondering what else is possible then. If anything of this has happened at all, what the fuck else is possible? And that has been my journey on YouTube. It's been showing that anything is possible. There is nothing that is impossible. And I'm just trying to share why I came to those understandings, I guess. And the more I do that, the more I see that it actually helps people. And I mean, the feeling that you get when you just help one person shift the reality to see that they came from a place of not having hope to having hope, and not just hope, but inspiration, motivation, support, and a plan to create the dream life. And then creating the dream life. It's hard to, it's actually very hard to express the gratitude in words. I don't think it's possible, actually. One can only feel it. What did he just do? What did he just do? Was that an animation inside of Google Docs? No. What happened there, Tim? Was it that your computer didn't render it? 98 pages. This guy is not kidding. It's interesting to see how his workflow works. But it's very cool to see that he's going from this, like he's starting off with one of the most time-consuming tasks, and he's live streaming it so that people can see his process. It's genius. Just the fact that he's not talking to the chat right now and just wondering about the views on his video, it speaks volumes. For people who have been through the whole live experience and trying to stream and all that stuff, that takes a lot of focus in the beginning. You know, you're wondering what other people would say and all that shit. He does not care. He's sitting there in a fucking wife beater. His hair looks like a mess compared to the pictures he have. And he's just working. He's just toiling away. That demands respect, bro. And brodette. I'm proud of you, Tim. Never met you. But it's going to be good to meet you for the first time again. Or it's going to be good to meet you again for the first time when we meet. I have this thing where I'm connecting to a lot of people online, and I'm literally just taking part in their adventure. It looks like we are supposed to leave you, Tim. I have that training in 4 minutes now. So what do you say, people who is not probably in chat? Should we head to a training? I will take that as a yes. Thank you for commenting hashtag replay going for sales vortex in chat. Okay, let's see if I can find it. And then in 30 minutes again, I have another live thing that I have to go to. I'm a busy man today. I'm like in prom. I'm feeling like a woman on prom, or a prom date. Let's see. Host has joined. Let them know that you're here. Gonna mute that site. And now we simply wait. Now you're gonna see how I am conducting myself on meetings, I guess. And you're just gonna join me on the meeting. This is all amazing. I love this. You want to see? You want to see how it looks before you enter a sales training that is meant for you to buy something at the end? That's how it looks. Look at that. Look at that. It looks amazing, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. The enthusiasm is to touch and feel. The atmosphere is vibrating. And the software and the system and the stream and everything has been holding up beautifully through this entire thing. I love that. Let's see if he... Okay, so host has turned off the video for when the meeting starts. I'm going to come in there. I'm going to just... Wow! This is me! Wow! I'm going to join with a boom. And then I will just announce to them that total transparency, I'm just on my adventure for today, and right now, to be honest, it is being live streamed for the first time, and you are now part of that live stream. It's being recorded on YouTube, where you can follow the entire thing that happened before that, where we met Tim as he was creating a sales, an opt-in page and an opt-in asset. That would be amazing. You will learn a lot and have a fun time doing it. That's probably not going to be my opening line. I'm going to try to keep my energy up because did you see my start? Looks good, doesn't it? Let's do that while we're waiting for the Zoom call to start, because it's going to start in 2 minutes.
Some background noise coming in. It's okay for now. How's everyone doing today? Feeling good? Sweet. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you spending the time here with me today. That's a sacred bond, man. You can't get the time back, neither can I. So I'm here to fulfill my promises and actually share with you what I said I was going to share with you. So I do have a couple questions for all of you, because I like to learn as I go always. So if you could help me out and just answer honestly, none of this is deep probing stuff. This is just, actually it'll help me talk to you with the right examples of what I'm talking about. So if you could give me quick in the chat, like, again, this is stuff I could already figure out if I went and looked at your profile. One, how long have you been trying to promote your offer on Facebook? It doesn't have a whole lot to do with what I'm talking about, but it'll just help me give you relevant examples. So whatever your current business is, maybe it's gone through different variations. I'm expecting everyone here, it's been 6 months or longer. It's my guess, but I just wanted to be aware of anyone. And again, this isn't like anything to impress anyone, just a question about who I'm talking to here, if you don't mind answering that. I'd appreciate it. And let's see. Okay, so we got some answers here. I'm gonna go through this quickly. That's people coming in sort of come in and gives me some good.
This is very interesting.
Live only, but I got some good stuff that I'll be sending to you. So no recording. Learn what you can today. I'm going to send you my notes in a couple of days. So all the key points that I make, you're going to have detailed notes. I recommend you take notes if that's helpful. Write down. Don't miss something good that you learned. I've got your back. I'm going to send you stuff to remind you of everything that's been here today. But today, I just want you to be present and learn what I have to share. That's going to be enough. But I will be sharing more with you in the future. So, yeah, and that'll make sense on why I'm doing that today. Okay, a little less than a year. Okay, so we're close to a year. 2 years. Again, this isn't about singling anyone out. Am I wrong to assume anyone less than 6 months? You can just hit me in the chat. Promoting Facebook for about 4. I couldn't read that whole chat. Okay, just 4 years. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Good. Now here's a little bit more interesting question. This is partially my curiosity, but let's see if I'm right here on what I'm assuming. In the past 12 months, since we have people that have been here for like a year doing their thing, of all your posts that you've made to try to generate leads or promote your business, like the relevant ones, not the stuff you've had for lunch, just imagine that number of people who have commented or liked it or loved it. Just kind of visualize, okay, that crowd. Now, what percentage of them would you say are still in touch with you who followed your posts in the last 30 days? So out of the past year, someone 1 year ago commenting on one of your posts, right? Let's say there's 100 of those people in the past year. How many of them saw what you were doing in the last month? How many are paying attention now? If you can give me a rough percentage, this is purely my own curiosity on what
I would say about 70%.
guesstimate of that is. It's not real data. This is like the Family Feud. It's like your opinion. Okay, about 5% are still paying attention the past month. Okay.
That's low.
And again, this isn't a right or wrong kind of thing. This is just what's your observation? 10%. Okay. 90%. Okay. So we have a divergence here, about 50%. Okay. That's good. We'll just say the people who are still following you after this time, that shows that maybe a better relationship's been built, right? You've followed up with them better. If it's not so many people, maybe you've pivoted your message a bunch of times and you haven't stayed in touch as well. So we're here to work on that today. Reason for the question.
This is going to be really interesting.
Okay, we're gonna work on that today. Okay.
I might actually hijack this.
One more question. I'll just leave it here. Out of all the friends you have, how many would you say percentage-wise you haven't ever really connected with? Like, if I were to mention their name to you right now and said, "Oh, that's your friend," what percentage of them, they're strangers. You don't know anything about them. And they probably don't know much about you. Okay. Whether they're a right client or not, somehow they're your friend. And you'd be surprised if I told you that person's your friend. Really? Never heard of them. What percent do you think? Yeah, your Facebook friends, 99. Okay. That shows you care a lot. That's cool. If you only have 100 that you don't know, 99% don't know you. Is that it? They don't know you? Okay. That's 90%.
I should prune my Facebook list.
60% don't know.
The people here cannot hear me.
60% you don't know. I mean,
only the stream.
I've been working on this for a while. I'll say it's still probably 60, 70%, but I've actually been working on that for a while. Okay. So again, this isn't good or bad. These questions have a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that. And that's kind of what I thought.
I can go in and
we've been around for a while. We've been connecting with
notify
people
him
for various
actually.
reasons. Michael's saying probably around 80% don't know me well, right? So, okay, that's something we can improve upon. Okay, so real quickly, now we have everyone, I think, who's going to come actually here. Thanks again for coming. So quickly, what are we doing here today? One, I'm going to teach you exactly everything I said I was going to teach you today in the next hour. So that, I'm going to just fulfill that promise. So you're going to learn that today. You can walk out of here today and be able to do that. So that's cool. Second, there's no pitch today. I'm not selling you anything today. Honestly, I am trying to teach you what I've learned that I think will help you. That's it. Okay. And my motivations for that, I do want to invite you to be curious about, well, why would Brian do that? I'm actually going to explain why today so that you understand how to do that yourself. But That's a good thing to be curious about. Why would Brian come and spend time teaching me this for free just to help you today? If that's what he's claiming, why would Brian actually do that? Well, the fact that I'm not going to make a pitch today, I want that to be maybe the biggest lesson that I offer here today on what I'm about to share with you, okay? So does that make sense? And this is, so just to tell you what this is, I'm going to give you a little context because I have to describe enough so you understand what I'm talking about, because I'm actually going to give you sort of a new language, a new vocabulary. If you understand the new vocabulary, it's going to give you the mother strategy on if you can use those vocabulary words, you have almost unlimited organic marketing strategy. Like you can, if you just start talking this language, it creates the strategy, okay? So I need to teach it to you so that I can explain complicated stuff simply. But even if you just know the definitions, the vocabulary itself is teaching you what to do, okay? So I need a little bit of context to describe that to you, but you'll be able to see things differently. But it's going to allow you and I to talk to each other in a more profound way, okay? So this is one of the basic frameworks I teach my clients. And Monday through Thursday, I'm going live twice a day, teaching this to my clients. And like in the morning, I'm teaching a new application of this every day. I mean, I could go for years and probably never repeat the same thing. Then we're doing it and we're coming back and learning from it. That's happening 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. So I just want to say, this is not something I made up as a lead magnet. This is like actually the process that I'm following every day. And I just wanted you to know that this is what we're using and what we're going deeply into every day of the week, just about, okay? So the cool thing is, once you understand this framework, you can go and start using it. I mean, you don't even need to come learn with me. So I just want you to have it, okay? So again, that'll become clearer. So I'm gonna reveal that today. I'm gonna give you just a little bit of background information before I do that so that it all makes sense, okay? So what's a sales vortex? I'll tell you what it is before I start describing that important background information. So we all know what a sales funnel is, right? I'll say a sales funnel is kind of like a two-dimensional thing, right? We put together valuable information and content and we load it up into autoresponders and it's like, we make the content and we design this pathway and it's kind of up to the other person. We put the whole burden on our audience to follow the yellow brick road, follow that breadcrumb trail. And if they're getting value from it, they take the next step and eventually that leads them to becoming a client. That's a sales funnel, okay? That to me, I'll just say it's like a two-dimensional analog of what the sales vortex is. Now this is a three-dimensional thing where we're not putting the burden on our audience. We're actually involved. We're in social media where we can talk to people. We're a part of this process and that's what makes it a vortex, okay? I'll talk more about that in a moment. So it's related to sales funnel or CRM or autoresponder sequence, but this is like, it's bigger than all of that. But I'll just say that all that stuff is similar. So one more question, if you could hit me in the chat or just by show of hands. How many of you are using our CRM every day? Are you already doing that? And it's, again, there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're not. I wouldn't expect everyone here to be. Raise a hand. Sorry, I'm looking at different screens. CRM every day? No CRM. Okay. Okay, I don't think I missed any hands. Okay, a couple of people are using the CRM. Many aren't. It's all good. I'm not expecting any of you to be doing that at this point. If you are, it's good. It's good that you're doing that. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, a little bit of context, and then we'll get right into it. And then we'll talk about it. Like I'm here to answer questions to help you. Bottom line, I want you to understand this thoroughly. Okay, so I'm going to share this process with you. I'm available. You ask me questions. Hey, Brian, hit me up in Messenger anytime you want. Ask me questions about how this process works. I will answer them. Or if you see me posting about these kind of ideas, just ask me. Ask me anywhere. Okay, and I'll just give you a little preview. The follow-up training, my next few podcasts are going to be sort of like advanced additions to this today. So if you listen to my next couple podcasts, I'm going to teach stuff that goes with this, that actually teaches you a little more. Okay, so what's the context? There's a couple big things that I designed this whole process to do for us. Okay. So here's what it does, the problems it solves, right? So the first thing is we've all heard, and we're all aware of this. This sounds super sexy cool. Okay, my copy, my post, my marketing, it's designed to attract my dream clients and repel people that it's not for, right? We all want to do that. We've heard it a million times. I'm not claiming to be unique in that. That's what we want. But here's what no one talks about. Our actions can actually repel the right people. That's a mistake we can make. So the fix number one, I'm here to give you solutions today, is what I call authority leakage. No expert ever does this. Oprah would never do this. Why? Because Oprah doesn't need to. Stephen King, great author, right? He would never do this because it makes no sense. And it's called what I call authority leakage. And here's what authority leakage is. You try to give someone value or make an offer to someone who hasn't already asked you for what you do. So if someone hasn't said, hey, 𝐅𝐸𝐿, I want to know more. Can you give me information? Or what are, how long is your program? What's it cost? If someone's never asked 𝐅𝐸𝐿 that, well, I'll say that 𝐅𝐸𝐿 is sort of losing his authority by approaching people who've never asked him, right? This is what is like ambulance chasing lawyers do, right? It's lame, right? If you're reaching out to people who have never asked you for the value you provide, you shouldn't be pitching them. That's obnoxious. That's a way to repel good people. It's like, what? I've never asked Tour for that. Why is Tour approaching me so aggressively? It turns people off, right? It's just not a cool thing to do. A real expert doesn't need to do it. Oprah's not going to knock on your door and say, I've got this new book, please read it. She doesn't have to. There's a lot of people who want her book, right? So again, we're going to fix that with this. Another thing, time allocation, qualification. Hey, we want to spend the bulk of our time talking to people who are genuinely interested because they've asked us, they've told us, they want to learn from us. It makes sense that if we spend more time having conversations with and working with those people, well, they're a lot more likely to want what we offer. And we've all been frustrated in the past, or we all have said, man, I don't want to be dealing with people who are never going to buy, who are just going to waste my time, right? So how do we qualify those people to allocate our time so we're not wasting it? This deals with that intimately. We're going to deal with that in a way where you'll know who to spend time with and who to, always be polite, but who to not really waste time with. Somebody's asking a question, or is that just background noise? Okay. We're going to talk soon. I'm just trying to get through the basic warm up here. Okay. Third thing, new connections, right? If we don't have new people coming in and discovering us, then what's going to happen is everyone who already knows us, we're going to sell our stuff, or people are going to hire us who are going to hire us, and we'll be left with the people who won't buy. And if we don't have new people coming in, then it dries up. And sometimes it's misleading, because sometimes that could dry up 3 months from now. But if there aren't an influx of new people, new blood is the lifeblood of any business, right? There's a lot of hope and enthusiasm by new people as well. People who don't know all your message, who are just discovering it. Well, they tend to get the older people excited as well, right? And a stream, if you block off the source of that stream, the water gets stagnant, right? There's a lot of examples in it. We need new people. We all know that. We're here to learn that. Well, we need that. So we're going to make sure that we have new people coming in. Another solution, okay, we've got 3 more, and then start explaining what this is. But it's important for you to understand what this does before I tell you what it is, okay? Traffic independence. Okay, now I'm not here to poo-poo anything. I love just most marketing strategies. There's a few that I don't like cold DMs. I'm totally against that. I think it's a stupid strategy because, well, I'll explain why later. But traffic independence, here's the thing. We're limited if we rely on a bunch of things. So for instance, if I rely on the Facebook algorithm to bring me traffic, I'll take everything it wants to give me. And if I can write a better post and do better things and make it give me more, I want all of that. I don't want to cut any of that off. But I'll tell you, that's not enough for me. It's not going to satisfy my needs because I'm more ambitious than that, right? So I want to take everything it's willing to give me, but I realize that's limited. It's not going to give me everything that I want. Same, even with emails, if I collect an email list full of subscribers, but then I'm relying on other people to open the email, right? I want everyone who opens the email to open it and read it. It's good to do. Will I invest more time writing better copy so more people open my emails? Yes, I want to do that. But at the same time, I don't want to be limited to that either. There is a limitation. So I want to introduce a way here where we can like bypass a lot of those limitations on relying on someone else to take an action when there's a lot of things that we can control. We can control what we do, period. I can only control what I do. But if I'm relying on what other people do all the time, that's a big limitation. I want to lift that today, or help lift that in an important way, okay? Because I really want to focus on the things I can do. What can I do about it, right? I can't control the actions of other people. So it makes me feel good to do what I can do, okay? So this is a system for doing what you can do. Another solution, we're here to increase conversions. I'll just give you the real easy thing. The more you personalize something, the higher the conversion will be, right? If you're reading an email that says, hey friend, if you're a coach that wants more clients, this can help you. Okay, that might convince you. But if someone's saying, you know what, Joe, I understand you're like, if I'm talking to Joe, we're having a conversation and Joe understands this will work for Joe, that's going to be a lot more appealing, right? Joe's a lot more likely to say, yeah, okay, yeah, you've told me, like we've had the conversation that proves it's about what I do, okay? So, and not, look, AI has given us all these cool opportunities, but people are generating more content, they're automating more. So what's a reaction to that? Personalize more, have more of a personal touch. And I'll say that AI is actually helping us be able to personalize a lot more. A lot of this, some things I stopped doing 2 years ago because it took too much human effort, but now AI can help you do it and make it more human. We'll talk more about that, okay? So you'll have higher conversions if you personalize more.
Baby, I can't drink it.
Now, a lot of people, I mean, why wouldn't we personalize things to the max? Well, because it takes time, right? So we don't want to personalize to the wrong people, right? We want to make sure we're spending that time with the right people. Back to that other thing about our time allocation for qualification. And the final one, we want to be more objective, right? We want to look at how our business is actually doing, the resources we have, and rather than saying, well, if I just put an offer out there, people will magically find it and it's going to work. But if, it's going to give me a lot more confidence to say, you know what, I know that there's 35 people at this stage where they're ready for that offer. Rather than just having a magical thought and saying, well, if I'm confident enough and I believe that it'll happen.
He has made it so that only
but I really don't have any real evidence out there
can receive messages, so that people can't network.
We don't have to think magically. We can have practical, like if I have evidence.
Very interesting.
Yeah, these people all seem like they would be contenders for it. It's going to make me naturally more confident. I don't have to fake it, okay? So to be more objective, if we can look at what's really happening, then we can act sort of based on reality versus wishful thinking. And we have a lot more power if we just, like, the right thing to do will change based on what we're actually dealing with, okay? Now, I don't mean for this to be cryptic, but this is how we can know these things. Okay, one metaphor, and time to learn some new concepts. So here's the metaphor here. Here's what we're actually doing. Sales, organic marketing, it's farming. We're all farmers, right? You post your content and people respond to the content. We plant seeds every time we share ideas. Every time I have a conversation or make a post, I'm planting seeds. And then ultimately, when people know me well enough and they've learned enough from me and they're the right people, that seed blossoms into a harvest, right? Like people finally decide, okay, Brian, I'd like to work with you on that, or I'd like to buy this course, right? It all really stems from the relationship, right? I can write the best copy in the world. No one's going to read it if they don't know who I am, if they haven't gotten value from me in the past, okay? If I do it purely through content, sooner or later, people will find the good content. The relationship can build that way, but that's much slower than what I'm going to suggest here today. So here's where I'm offering something different. Okay, this isn't conventional wisdom, and in some ways, this is going to fly against a lot of what you've heard. Okay, and I've wanted something new desperately. Like for the last 6 months to a year, it's like, okay, if everyone's zigging, if everyone's really focused on this thing over here, what do I do? And the opposite of a zig isn't a zag, it's like fluff, right? There's stuff that people just aren't looking at, and it's not competitive because no one's doing it, no one's looking at it. So bamboo farming, okay? Here's the perfect analogy for what I want to offer here today. Okay, so
Thank you for the light.
Plant bamboo,
Whomever
right?
jumped in
I'll
there
just look at each 20-foot length of bamboo. In 1 year, the bamboo grows to 20-foot length, right? Now, after 1 year, the bamboo is mature enough where you could build decks out of it, gazebos out of it. You could even build some furniture out of it, but it's still green, right? And we'll just say in Thailand, let's say I'm a Thailand bamboo farmer. Okay, I saw this cool quote. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me finish my explanation. So let's say I'm in Thailand. I'm a bamboo farmer. I can sell that 20-foot piece of green bamboo. It took a year to grow. Before that, it's not mature. It's not good for much, right? At that 1 year mark, something special happens. There's a lot of practical uses for it. I can sell that 20-foot length for $1, okay? Now, it's not going to grow much higher in its lifespan, but when it gets to 5 years old, it's mature. The wood is a lot, like the bamboo itself is a lot more, it's denser, it's stronger, it's golden colored now. It's not green anymore. It's mature. And now, with that same piece of bamboo, if I were to make a flute out of it, the sound is so much more beautiful. It resonates more because the bamboo is denser, right? And now if I build a gazebo out of it, it's going to be stronger. It's going to be more durable. When the really strong, almost hurricane level winds come, it's going to endure, where the 1 year bamboo would fall apart. And all of a sudden at the 5 year mark, that bamboo is worth like $20, $20, not one. Okay. So, and this is my analogy. It's a metaphor in the marketing.
Nice cliffhanger. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
1 year bamboo. How do I you know what? I want to make the most sales I can the next 30 days or the next 60 days. But people are missing out on the long term. Oh, are we freezing? Oh, shucks.
This is
You are
interesting.
freezing, Brian. Yeah, your video's freezing, but we can hear you, I think, sometimes.
I'm gonna have to leave them with the little. I'm gonna
Yeah, we
see
can't
you
hear
later.
you at all now.
Nice to meet you, people. See you in the next one.
Have a fantastic day. There we go.
Now we are basically in between. I have another one that I want to visit. It's an event. And I believe that the engagement is going to be a bit more up in the production value. This is so fun, though, because I'm going on this adventure with you guys. So now you've seen 2 marketing strategies. I'm literally showing the marketing strategies while doing and developing my own. I run this group, Norwegian Flame. It is Scandinavia's biggest group on psilocybin mushroom. I've said that many times, but some people are still coming into this fresh-eyed and all of a sudden like, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? So I moderate this along with a team of amazing people who's just doing everything. They were making everything so much easier. Like, they're amazing. They're just, I love you guys. So basically, we have a pending post. I took 3 grams of Liberty Cap, Lemon Tech. Lemon Tech means that you drink some lemon juice to basically boost the process of releasing the enzymes in your stomach. It's breaking down the psilocybin faster because it's like the acid of your stomach. So Lemon Tech, if you drink that with the actual medicine, it's going to just create a more intense lower or shorter duration of a trip. And I got a lot heavier reaction than before. I've taken 2.5 grams from the same area 3 times before, or 3 times in the past, and all times were very similar. But very unlike this last one. Is there some sort of a magic limit where the effect suddenly becomes something completely different? So, is there anyone who's had any similar experience? I didn't see anything or experience anything special, but it was all of a sudden a few hours where I couldn't really know where I was. I lost track of time. And later that night, when I was very tired, I was still extremely calm at mind. This day, the day after, I had a headache. Never ever had that happen before either. I think it's because, you're going through this event and you lost track of time there a little bit. So you dropped out of time. And when that happens, because I'm saying this as if it's just a normal occurrence, I just realized that when that happens, when you drop out of time, you might go through an ego death. You lose a little part of yourself, and now you are embracing the new part of yourself. Sometimes that is a tough experience to have. Sometimes it's a easy one. Sometimes you're navigating it. You know that you're out of time, and you just have to wait until you come back. There's a lot of ways that could happen, but I think that when those things happen, you're there. In your mind, you're there. It doesn't matter if you're under the influence of a magic mushroom, you're still there. Your brain doesn't know the difference between thought and reality. And we can go into the debating the whole what is reality then if you're traveling the energetic fields of the quantum field. But we're not going to do that in this because we don't have that time. The thing is, your brain knows now that you have dropped out of time, and that's why some people freak out. I've freaked out, I've dropped out of time. It's a very interesting sentence to hear, but imagine what your brain goes through. The next day, you're trying to implement the fact that you fell out of time. And then, of course, that's going to hurt a little bit. It's like a quantum download, which it's going to hurt a little bit in the back of your head because you're getting information. It's like a Tetris game. I was laying on my bed. I was having these very specific questions, and I was doing the 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐼 meditation before that. I created my own. So I recorded my voice because the voice on the recording was horrible. So I created my own. And then I listened to myself, hypnotizing myself through alpha waves. And in that, I had very specific things that I needed answers to. And I did that just before I falling asleep. And I saw the answers kind of falling into place like a Tetris game. And those moments where you kind of make the point of the game when they line up and you just blow, and then, you can add more, you get more space. When that happens in a quantum download, it actually hurts. It feels like someone is pushing you in the neck, or you have an intense but kind of logical headache that you kind of come to appreciate after a while, because you know that with this headache, you're learning new information. For me, I just have to implement it quick. So I've been known to run from my bedroom down the stairs in my boxers out to the office to implement whatever I had happening during a quantum download. It is very interesting. Okay, so now he's live. Just now? They just went live now? No, there's no audio then, so they fucked up. No comments either. No audio, or is it just me? I muted the site, just me.
He was one of the people who was. Somebody is saying no audio.
I freaked him
Can you
out.
hear me right now?
I freaked him out. Sorry, Zeke.
Let me know, guys, if you can hear the audio. Oh, okay. It was a mistake on their side. No worries. So as I was saying, everybody, we had a little hiccup now in the start. I thought there was no audio. It's all good. Let me know if you're tuning in. I see a couple of you already came live. So just drop a hashtag #cult in the comments. I want to see who's all here. And I'm going to jump onto Facebook on my phone in a second so I can actually see your names for those who I don't see your names. So like I was saying, we've got an exciting event for us. I'm not going to spend too much time building up the hype for it, but basically we're going to be talking about what Anthony calls the Eminem diss method. For those who don't know who Eminem is, for those who don't know who Eminem is,
You
or
just
who
saw it.
Anthony is, my bad. I was getting a little bit flustered,
One and the same.
confused with the comments. Yeah, but anyways, the audio is working according to the comments. I keep seeing comments coming in, and but I see that the audio is working. So I was getting confused there. So the audio is working. All right. So anyways, as I was saying, Anthony has worked with a lot of the biggest names on YouTube. You know, he's one of the guys who's behind the scenes on the channel with Neil Patel, for those who are familiar with him. You know, Dan Henry's, Spencer Meekham, a lot of the huge names that we know in the game. He's also one of the few top 1% people who was chosen to speak at, I believe it was Vid Summit, if I'm not mistaken, alongside
VidCon,
Mr. Beast. Yes,
Oh, yeah,
alongside Mr. Beast and some of the other biggest names in YouTube. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass the floor off to Anthony. But before I do that, I want to, you know, encourage all of you while we're live, drop any questions that you have throughout the training. Because the reason I asked Anthony to come into our group is he actually shared a little bit of a glimpse not long ago on his own Facebook profile about this method that he's going to be sharing with us today, and the results he was able to get for clients, and how it helps people who are just getting started on YouTube, and you can apply this to other platforms as well, to explode their brands really, really quickly, leveraging controversy. Now, the thing is, y'all in my community, who are in my Facebook community specifically, and if you've been consuming my content for the past couple of years, you know I'm all about controversy. I love polarization and all that type of stuff. I saw somebody in the comments say that, you know, I'm behind an evil mission here with Cult Builders brand, which absolutely, I am proud to say that I am an evil man, and I'll always be pushing this evil mission to help a lot of people in the process of it as well. But with that said, I love controversy, but one thing for those who, you know, my clients that work with me, and I help them put, you know, the stuff into their brand and polarization, all that type of stuff. One of the things that I'm big about is when you're leveraging controversy, making sure you're doing it the right way. I see a lot of people who try to leverage polarization, who try to leverage controversy, but they do it in ways that end up screwing them in the ass, shooting them in the foot. So one of the things we're going to talk about how to use this method the correct way, but also what we're going to talk about is how to not.
I'm gonna do everything that I can
to
make
we are
him
going to have
lose
live
flow.
Q&A. So like I said, you have anything you're not clear about as we're going through, I want to make sure you guys get as much value as possible while we're on this live together today. So drop your questions below, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, we're live there, or you're tuning in inside my private Facebook community, where we're there as well. Let us know your questions, and I'll come back on the screen.
Did I fluster him?
So that
Was that me?
We get to as many of those questions as possible while we're live here. So with that said, let's show Anthony some love. Smash that heart reaction. Hit the like button if you haven't already, so that, you know, so he knows we appreciate his time that he's given us here today. And Anthony, the floor is yours, man. Let's pull up that presentation and let's jump right into it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, so the Eminem diss method. This is dedicated to Emperor 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and his cult. And
we're going PG.
get things going here. All right, so I'm going to give you a little background on how this came about. I did a Facebook post talking about this. And this is a method I've used for years with my
Graham
clients.
Stephen is actually a big YouTuber.
For myself as well. And I always like incorporating things that I love and enjoy. And so hip hop, Eminem, rap music, all that type of stuff is something that I live for. I enjoy it. And so I try to combine that with what I do for a living, which is helping people on YouTube and being a YouTube strategist. So I incorporated these two worlds together to come up with this idea of the Eminem diss method. Plus, as a fan of marketing, and recently also a big studier of cult building, and not just from what 𝐓𝐞 does, but from actual cults and getting into that whole world of seeing how they're formed, how they're built. It's really fascinating to see how it all comes together when it comes to marketing and building brands, because that's really, you know, the secret to creating a movement, to getting things out there. And so this all came about from a Facebook post. 𝐓𝐞 saw what I did for a client, and this is almost like a little summary. But then he was like, "Hey, come present to the group." I was like, "All right, man." And from there, it got, you know, my gears turning, and I was like, "All right, I think I can create this more into a more fleshed out framework." And so that's exactly what I did. So this is very specific to all you cult builders out there. All right. So thanks to 𝐓𝐡𝐞 for that, and sort of inspiring it to make it into something even more. And in fact, it inspired me so much that I started to like take it to a whole nother level. So here it is for the first time for all of you guys here. All right. So we're gonna start talking about Eminem because it's named after him. Some insights about Eminem. You know, American rapper, songwriter, record producer. He brought hip hop to Middle America, and he is considered one of the greatest rappers of all time, even from other rappers who are considered the greatest rappers of all time. So that's a high, esteem, especially for the fact that yes, Eminem is white, right, and also grew up and did his thing in Detroit, Michigan, which is wild. You can see some of his accomplishments here of having 3 songs certified diamond or higher from the recording industry. Rolling Stone included him in the top 100 greatest artists of all time, 100 greatest songwriters of all time. I saw another thing where he was labeled the artist of the decade from 2000 to 2010. And he's won numerous awards, Grammys, American Music Awards, Billboard Awards, an Academy Award, and an Emmy. Basically, he's close to getting that EGOT. And recently, or in
What is an
2022,
EGOT?
He was inducted into the
I feel
Rock
ignorant.
and Roll Hall of Fame. So he is legit, right? He's the man. And we're going to show some of his, little bit of what he's done in his career and his branding. And then we're going to incorporate that into what I'm going to teach you today. So you'll get to hear, well, not hear, but you'll get to see some of the things that he did when it comes to, dissing people. All right. So let's get into this. So this is Patrick Hanlon. Now, Patrick Hanlon's been called the Charles Darwin of branding. Some of you might not be familiar with him at all or ever heard of him, but he's sort of the guy behind the scenes. He is a strategist that's consulted with billion-dollar brands or brands that want to be billion-dollar brands. All right. And he wrote 2 amazing books that I highly recommend. That's Primal Branding and The Social Code. These are both books on branding. In fact, The Social Code is sort of like a companionship piece to Primal Branding that was written to incorporate more of the digital marketing space and the social media space into Primal Branding a bit more and sort of elaborate on some of the concepts. And I'm going to be talking about a little bit of that because I incorporated that into what I do with YouTube. And here's the best thing about this. Primal Branding basically shows you how all these billion-dollar companies and brands like Google, Apple, American Express, Johnson & Johnson, all these brands create cult followings. All right. And so Patrick Hanlon's been the guy behind a lot of that. He's the strategist who works with a lot of these brands. So it's fantastic to see. And so I'm going to be incorporating some of his teachings into what I do. And I have been incorporating that for years now when working with my clients. And that's how they have a tremendous amount of success. So that's who Patrick Hanlon is. And he's going to come into play here. All right. All right. So here's the cultivate your own YouTube empire. These are the 7 steps to do that. Yes, I marked them all off except for one, because we're going to be focusing on one of them. And that is the differentiation strategy, which deals with pagans. When you are building a brand or when you're building a cult, you have to have pagans that you fight against. You have to have the non-believers. All right. And so here, this is almost like a little sneak peek of a new course that I'm building, new training that I'm building. And so the pagan side of it is like the first step we're going to do is identify who the pagans are, who the non-believers are, learn how to differentiate ourselves from them, right? And then effectively like look at our competitors, look at these channels, and then be able to share our contrasting philosophies, right? And so that's a lot of what I know Emperor 𝐓𝐡𝐞 teaches all of you out there. And that's a big part of this. And that's a big part of the Eminem diss method here. So as you can see in cultivating your YouTube empire, there's your origin narrative, your channel philosophy, visual and auditory impressions, viewer engagement practices. The one we're studying today, or part of it, is differentiation strategy. the community language, and the role of the YouTuber, which is the leader, the charismatic leader, right? So just giving you guys a little taste, but we're focusing on 5 for today's presentation. So if Zeki wants to bring me on again, we can talk about any of these other ones in the future. It'll be fun. I love talking about this stuff. All right, so let's start. Number 1, we have to identify the opportunity. And that's really finding who the pagans are, right? Who the non-believers are. So we identify who the popular influencers or topics in our field are, right? So you have to look at your market, your industry, your niche, and figure out who those popular influencers are. What are those big topics? What are those things that are always trending, right? Look at their content, see what they're making, see what they're putting out there, see how you can go more in depth in that as an expert, right? So you want to dive in deeper than most people will, and sometimes it's all about giving even more information than the other guy is willing to give, because oftentimes
Go deeper than most people will. That's what she said.
Marketers or as entrepreneurs or as thought leaders, we tend to sort of hesitate sharing it all, and really what happens there is that we're just giving little breadcrumbs here and there. It's like, no, just try to share it all as much as you can until they're busting at the seams, because they won't be able to handle it. Sometimes it's too much for them, and that's fine, because that's building who you are, that's showing what you're capable of. And a lot of that's going to build a lot more trust, that you're not trying to hide things from them. You're trying to be as transparent and trying to give them as much value as possible, so you can't handle it. One great example of this that we've all been seeing a lot of has been Alex Hormozi. His whole new business model is basically set up as, I'm going to give you everything you need to make millions of dollars. And when you can make that money, then you can come talk to me and then pay me to help you get to tens of millions of dollars, right? That's his whole setup that he's doing nowadays. So an example here, with working with my client, we looked at Graham Stephan, who had made a video about Airbnb. And my client was in the Airbnb space. He's an expert. That's his whole business, is Airbnb. That's his expertise. And so he sees Graham Stephan, well, I see Graham Stephan make a video about Airbnb, and I'm like, hey, you need to address this. Graham is saying some stuff. Maybe he did some Airbnbs here and there, but that's not his livelihood. His livelihood is now YouTube and real estate and whatnot. So I think you can address this, right? And talk about it, because, Graham is the popular influencer. All right. So we're going to keep that in mind. That's the first example, and we're going to build on that example here. All right. Next, here's Graham Stephan looking confused and sad, like he always does in his thumbnails. But that's what works for him. In fact, Graham, when he presented at Vid Summit, they called him out about his thumbnails. They're like, what's with the face? And Graham said, I try to make like happier faces or other types of things. Those videos don't do as well as the time that I am showing myself as a sad, confused person. So these images for his thumbnails work the best. And so that's how they're, that's why he continues to do them. Just a little side note tidbit there. All right. And then for anyone in the financial space and sector, and anything to do with money, our boy here is one of the best pagans to go after. Easiest one to go after, actually, because he doesn't pay attention. So you can keep talking about him all you want, unless you're Meet Kevin. And for those who aren't familiar with Meet Kevin, we'll talk about him a little bit later on this. But you have our boy here, Dave Ramsey, who's just a grumpy old man all the time. But he has built a cult. And so we have to always respect those who have built their cult followings, even if their teachings are, whatever. All right, here we go. Number 2, this is probably the hardest one, right? Because any of us can make a list of all the, the top topics, influencers within our space, industry, and all that stuff. But we have to take action. So step 2 of this framework is create engaging and insightful content. All right. So you create a piece of content that adds value to the existing conversation. Now, I use the word conversation because that's really what you're trying to have with, the people. You're trying to have a conversation. The point of sparking controversy is so there can be a discussion, there can be some sort of argument, there could be something that goes back and forth. All right. And so by creating great, insightful content that's engaging, you're going to add to that conversation and you're going to bring value to it. Now, one thing about this, and when we're talking about this Eminem diss, we're using the word diss, you know, like dissing people, Eminem does it, and I'll sort of explain a little bit here, but he does it very tactfully, right? Eminem disses not only people outside of his industry, people within his industry, and he disses himself, and he disses his own family, and he just doesn't care, right? So one thing to realize that though is that when you're creating this content, you're not just creating it to do a direct attack or a diss. You're actually trying to be more insightful, bring further depth to it. So you're trying to be more unique. You're trying to offer a new perspective, right? So with my client as the Airbnb expert, I basically had him create a video responding to Graham's video and providing a more in-depth analysis of Airbnb and answering or correcting misconceptions and then offering expert tips and tricks when it comes to Airbnb, right? And that's why his video got the engagement. It became the top video for him at that moment in time when he produced that, because it brought in Graham Stephan's audience. It brought in people who were familiar with Graham Stephan, and then it's like, all right, here's this guy that I don't know who he is, but he's talking about Graham, and I'm a follower of Graham, and let's see what he has to say. And he didn't just outright diss Graham and say, oh, Graham doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just dumb. Nothing like that. He wasn't attacking him personally. He wasn't saying anything of that nature. He was just saying, he said this, from my experience of working with this is how I see it, or he's right. In fact, in that response video, oftentimes my client had to say, Graham is right when he explains this, when he's saying this about Airbnb. The only thing he's leaving out is X, Y, and Z, right? He added on to it. And so that is where it becomes a lot more helpful to be engaging and insightful. All right. Okay. Other clients that have done this is the Kwok brothers. Here we have people going after Graham because he's the the biggest fish, right? And we're going to talk about that and sort of say why we go after the bigger fish. You can see here we went after Dave Ramsey because he decided to talk about Airbnb. Here the Kwok brothers went after Graham Stephan because he was talking about how to pay off the mortgage faster, talking about the mortgage crisis, things like that. And then here's an example, like this bottom right-hand corner, we have Shelby Church. She's an influencer who started an Airbnb, and we addressed her, and that video didn't do as well, mainly because not a lot of people really know who Shelby Church is, and the audience doesn't really pertain to my client's audience that much. And so in the end, it was a great way to sort of test things out to see, like, yeah, her audience doesn't really matter to us. And so there's no point in talking about her failings. And in that video, really, that it was more of like, she just, didn't do so well with her Airbnb and was losing money consistently. But yeah. But besides that, you can see here's where my clients have created content going after, using this method, right? While not going after them personally. All right, so attract attention. Now, the way we're going to attract attention, especially when we're talking about YouTube specifically, or even in other content formats, I'll be sure to frame it that way as well. With YouTube specifically, we're going to always look at the titles, the descriptions, and the thumbnail. We have to mention the original influencer or the content idea that's being addressed. Again, we're not trying to provoke them or attack them specifically or personally. We're just trying to attract the attention from their audience, from their believers, right? And then, of course, help YouTube's algorithm sort of share it out to more people that say, hey, like, because YouTube really can't tell, like, anyone who's a hater or a troll on Graham Stephan if you create a video about Graham Stephan. Like they just know you created a video about 𝐓𝐡𝐞 and or Dave Ramsey, and then YouTube's gonna be like, let's give it to other people who've watched videos about them. So that's one thing to realize, right? So an example of a title here would have been Airbnb expert takes on 𝐓𝐶's Airbnb strategy. I think the way we titled my client's video was more of what does 𝐓𝐶 know about Airbnb? So that way it left it open-ended where it's like, does he know what he's talking about or he doesn't? And as you saw at the very beginning, the thumbnail basically had him and his worried face. And I didn't show my client at all in the thumbnail because it wasn't about my client. It was about, the influencer, right? It was about the pagan that we were going to sort of feature. And so we showed 𝐓𝐶 in there in his concerned face. We showed the Airbnb logo, and then we had the word canceled because that's very triggery nowadays. So we put all that there, and that drew in the attention for people to watch it. They saw the title that says, what does 𝐓𝐶 know about Airbnb? Then people started watching, right?
Canceled.
Okay. Next slide. Now,
That's a
a
big
person who
word,
did a
actually.
really great job at this early on in their YouTube career and has now 1.87 million subscribers on their channel is 𝐓𝐡𝐞. Now, 𝐓𝐡𝐞, as you can see, he first started talking about real estate, and now he's talking about how to make more money and get shot down faster. Or no, wait, what does this? Get shot done faster? Oh, that's supposed to say shit with a 9 for some reason. Featuring AI. Got to jump on the AI bandwagon there. All right, so 𝐓𝐡𝐞 did this early in his career, and that's what drew a lot of attention to him. He took on Dave Ramsey, and he took on Grant Cardone, right? Two of the big giants within the real estate space. Yes, because Dave Ramsey has this whole side business with real estate agents. And so he took them on, right? And he created a lot of content around that. This is like one of his popular videos here for 𝐓𝐡𝐞. And that's actually how I got to know who 𝐓𝐡𝐞 was, because at the time, I think Grant Cardone was out there, and I'm like, who's this 10X guy? And then I see someone talking about him, and it's like the expose, right? Grant Cardone and Cardone Capital exposed. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Let's see what it has to say. And so, he just basically breaks down Grant Cardone's business. That's all it was. It wasn't a hit piece on Grant Cardone. It just says, here's how he really makes money. And it just explained his business model. That's it. Now, I did watch 𝐓𝐡𝐞 go after Dave Ramsey. And in there, he took a different approach where he did basically say Dave Ramsey was doing some scammy, fraudulent stuff. Now, that's not a bad thing to call out people who do that type of stuff. But eventually, I think 𝐓𝐡𝐞 got hit with a cease and desist. And I think those videos are not on his channel anymore. And so we'll talk about how to avoid that. But yeah, 𝐓𝐡𝐞 did a really great job in doing that. His channel is a lot like that now, where he is going after different people, still using this Eminem diss method, but he's doing a little more tactfully than he used to. And I will give an example of how you don't do this with one of my past clients, and what path they've taken, and how you have to be very careful with that path and how it can affect growth on your YouTube channel. Now, I did say I would sort of show how we do this with other content, right? I mean, again, it's the visual and it's the hook, and then the meat of the content, right? So if we're doing a Facebook post, you got to show who this non-believer is. You got to put him front and center. They're the hero in quotations there. No, they're the person that you're trying to say like, hey, I don't like this person. Like, look at him. And I'll give you an example from Eminem in a little bit about that. But yeah, you got to put that out there. I love that comment that the cease and desist is a badge of honor. It can be. But yeah, so when you're creating content in any format, the visual should be the non-believer, the pagan, right? The title for even a Facebook post should be the thing that hooks them in. It should be the thing that's drawing someone in. Now, you can do a hook that has a slower buildup. Sometimes I like doing those where, I'm going to hit them with the little M. Night Shyamalan and give them the twist. or that's where you have to get really good with your copywriting and do almost a bit of satire. But that's where this is where the more you produce this type of content, the more you play around with it, the more you can even take jabs at yourself. Again, following what Eminem did when talking about himself, the better you'll get at this and creating different types of content, whether it's video content or written content. The visual is the visual. All right. And so here's my client. Eventually, when you get big enough, like Meet Kevin, then other people will talk about you. So here is an example of, do I agree with Meet Kevin? You don't even have to say his name in the thumbnail. His face is there because by then he had drawn enough attention, right? So here he was talking about the housing market crash, and I guess Meet Kevin had created a video on that, and so the Kwok brothers then produced the reaction video on that. All right, number 4, show your expertise, right? So you have to demonstrate your in-depth knowledge of the subject matter. You have to actually know what you're talking about, right? Like, one thing to understand about the internet, and especially when you are marketing to marketers or marketing to a much more sophisticated audience, they can know if you know your stuff, and they can sense your authenticity if you actually are passionate and love what you're talking about and know what you're talking about. Sometimes when I'm listening to certain marketers out there, or even thought leaders, and I hear them answer a question or just talk, they just word vomit things. Like they use all this jargon, they say all this nonsense, and it sounds like they said something special, important, and in the end, they really said nothing. They just said a bunch of words. One thing when it comes to copywriting, when it comes to speaking, when it comes to presenting, you want to be clear with your message. You want to actually tell people what you're trying to tell them, be specific, and try to give them the value that they're asking for, right? So showing your expertise, freaking show your expertise, like show what you know, right? So again, this method is only going to work if you have a full, solid grasp of the subject matter, of the topic, and you can actually provide valuable insights that goes beyond the original content that that heathen did, right? So if you're not an expert, you're not going to be spitting facts. Instead, you're just going to be Alex Jones ranting about your opinion, and we don't want to do that. You don't want to be that. Now, people like Alex Jones can grow a massive cult and following. They can cause a lot of harm, but then they can basically destroy their own empire from the nonsense or just the opinions with no facts. So the next 2 slides, or the next 2 segments of this framework, are going to sort of be your warnings. All right. So far we've learned that you have to identify who the influencers are, identify the topic you're trying to address, right? Next, we're going to start creating the content, trying to always be engaging and insightful. You're going to do what you can to attract the attention by using the visuals, the hooks, and then you're going to show your expertise. But now these are the things you have to be aware of, because doing this Eminem diss method can get out of hand. So I need to help you guys not jump off the cliff. All right. All right. First thing to understand is you have to be the shark in fresh water. All right. So do not diss small guppies in your space. All right. If you are a big fish, you're not going around dissing smaller little fishes, because you're going to have an opposite effect where you're going to draw attention to them. And it's unnecessary attention. You don't need to draw attention to people that are below you. Like you don't draw attention to what you eat. All right. So please do not do that. You want to go after the big fish by being a shark, and not in the ocean. You're going to be the shark in the fresh water, because no one expects sharks in fresh water. Though from what I understand, there is a species of shark that can go ocean to fresh water, which is insane. But yeah, be the shark in fresh water. Now, at first you won't make a splash. Like you're not, like no one's going to pay attention to you. And that's where you just have to get damn good at it. You got to get so damn good that they can't ignore you, that you are making a splash, right? And the fact is, like, well, everyone else is looking out there or looking at you in the ocean and looking for you there. Like, if you've entered fresh water, right, you're going to be devouring river and lake monsters. That's where you're going to be devouring. So you are going to go after bigger fish, and you're going to be devouring them as the shark in their territory. And the reason why you're doing that is because sometimes it's again that whole concept of blue ocean, red ocean. Sometimes, you know, we're trying to just sort of pull people from other cults. If they're already in a cult, don't worry about them. You want to get the people who are disenfranchised in their cult and pull their audience in, and you're just going to devour those people, right? You're bringing them in. So go after those river and lake monsters. By the way, there are river and lake monsters. It's insane. I think it was Discovery Channel where I learned about those things. Wild stuff. All right. But here we go. So that's your first warning, right? You want to be the shark in fresh water. You're just not just swimming in the ocean like with everyone else. You're not going after little guppies. You're going after river monsters. You're going to other places where people don't know you, and you're going to stand out, and you're going to start making a splash there. All right. Let's talk about Machine Gun Kelly. For those who aren't familiar with Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly, Machine Gun Kelly did not follow my instructions here, right? Machine Gun Kelly thought he was awesome, that he was the best rapper, and he got personal with Eminem. Out of everyone you could get personal with, Eminem is probably not the person you want to like have a confrontation with, especially a personal one, right? Machine Gun Kelly went there and he made a whole diss track against Eminem. Again, you don't want to diss Eminem. No one should ever feel like they have the ability to diss someone that great. So Machine Gun Kelly did that, right? Here's him as a rapper. This is the cover to that single, Rap Devil, right? Well, Eminem replied, right? And he only replied because he's like, hey, it got personal. I'm going to put you in your place, and I'm going to move on with my day, right? This was just a regular Tuesday for Eminem, not a big deal. He produced Kill Shot. There you see the imagery, right? There's the heathen. How dare he say something about Eminem's daughter? How dare he make a whole single attacking Eminem? And so after doing that, right, Eminem responds with Kill Shot. And then next thing we know, Machine Gun Kelly is no longer a rapper. He now does punk pop, alternative music, and this is his new brand and look. Machine Gun Kelly is not a rapper anymore. He is a pop punk musician. Now, can you imagine being so damn good at what you do that you diss someone that destroys their entire identity, brand, and career trajectory to have them shift to a whole nother market? That's what Eminem did to Machine Gun Kelly. So Machine Gun Kelly didn't do it the right way. Eminem had to respond and put him in his place. So take heed. All right. Now, I will say Machine Gun Kelly's pop punk alternative stuff is all right. It's pretty good. I'm glad that he's
is someone who have no idea who they are. What the fuck?
And plus, you know, Megan
Completely
Fox
took me
and
off
all
guard.
that good stuff. So good for him. All right. We'll move on from here. All right. Number 6. This is a very important lesson to know. Okay. Number 5 was sort of the be inspired. Don't go after the guppies. Number 6 is don't make shit up. Okay. Please do not do that. That is not how this method works. We're not going into conspiracy theorist level. Do not become one. All right. Please develop your skills, grow your knowledge, perfect your craft. Like, be damn good at what you do. You don't need to take cheap shots, start outright lying, spread misinformation to draw that attention. It does work. It does draw a crap ton of attention. But the thing is that you get people to believe certain lies, you start to believe your own lies, so you're going to believe your own hype. and then you're going to find yourself in a lawsuit or laugh out of existence. All right. And so here's a couple of, people that we know in, and not in our marketing space, but in the more public, forum, so to say. So Alex Jones, right? Alex Jones at one point, millions of dollars, his own show, all that stuff. I think his show still exists. I don't think he still has the same amount of audience that he had, but he got slapped with millions of dollars in fines and lawsuits for the nonsense that he kept spitting, right? And so he had his day in court. He had a fine audience that he could promote, boner pills to all day, and whatnot. But then he went too far. And so he ended up in a lawsuit owing millions of dollars. Don't want to go there, right? And then Tucker Carlson, at the top of his game, had a show where he could do whatever he wanted. He just took it too far, got fired, and now he has a show on Twitter, which I don't hear anything about. Now, the thing is, I keep track of a lot of this stuff to try to see what people are doing, how they're like, what kind of stuff is being spread through media, how things are being done. And I don't hear the name Tucker Carlson pop up as much as I used to in the past. He took it too far and then out, right? A show on Twitter, which sounds bad, like to say like he went from the number one, like, highest paid top of Fox News to a show on Twitter. All right. So fair warning about the misconceptions. Now let's go back to Eminem to talk about a little bit of what Eminem tried to do. Now, Eminem's, audience, like he like went away for a while. He came back with Revival. He went with this whole style, very different from all his other stuff. This album has, I don't think I've even listened to maybe one or two tracks on this album, and it's not a great album. This album in his career literally flopped, right? And he knows that. In fact, he addressed it in the follow-up album called Kamikaze, where Eminem realized, like, man, whatever I was doing here in Revival wasn't any good. Like, and so even the subject matter that he was talking about here was just sort of like, okay, man, cool. Nah, people wanted old Eminem back, and while still growing and being like taking things to a whole nother level. So he came out with Kamikaze, and he did what he does best, and he started dissing people, started dissing the industry itself. Now, dissing an industry basically means you're going to take on the system, you're going to take on the things that's supposed to, like feed you, so you stand out there, right? So he took on the industry, he took on the different rappers in the space, and he did what he does best, and he created some fire tracks on this. And this album was phenomenal. I think this is the one that I still listen to currently, right? So it's awesome to see that. And he admitted to his crappiness of his past album. He even says it in this album. It's like, hey, last one was a flop, it sucked. He's also now back, and he's just angrier than ever. By the way, if you're a big Eminem fan, Lucky You is a fantastic track with Joyner Lucas. Highly recommend that track. All right. Now let's talk about past clients here. This is the 𝐓𝐞 brothers. Their channel originally, when I worked with them, was under 100,000 subscribers. They blew up, went past 100,000. And then I had them to use the Eminem diss method. They did it, and then they just went too far, right? Now that has rebranded their entire channel to what it is right now, which is the Freedom Files. But before, it was all about real estate, paying off your mortgage, becoming financially free, and they've taken a whole nother branding approach, and they are speaking to the audience they want to speak to, but it's very interesting what's happened. So this is what they're doing, right? Like most of their content is using the Eminem diss method. Now that's where I feel like it's going too far. The Eminem diss method is really just grab attention really quick, push beyond that, and then share the things you want to share to add value, right? The Eminem diss method is also used when you're stuck, like when you have like you're not getting the attention you need, and so you use it again to draw in a nice influx of people. But it always has to get tied into what you're trying to really communicate with people. These are their most recent videos. They seem to take on Bill Gates, which does really well for them. But I have to then ask, well, how many Bill Gates haters want to then learn how to do real estate? Like it's such a disconnect between what they offer and are trying to teach people in their paid services to what they present in their content, right? And so this is a lot of what they're doing now. In the past, this is what the stuff that worked well for them. That has the most views. These are the most popular videos. There's about 6 videos that really tie into real estate and mortgage, and then the other ones that going on about Bill Gates. Like it's like, okay, cool. The Great Reset is a economical, financial thing, so it makes sense to talk about it. But then I don't know where Bill Gates comes into play here. I do know that Bill Gates does own a lot of land, but other than that, I don't know how it applies to the audience they're trying to sell to. Now, I've asked them on many occasions, like, so are you guys still selling? Like, is it working? They've said yes. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, it's not me to doubt them. And Sam, like, had said too, like, hey, the reason why we do this is because we're giving these people an opportunity to feel like they're heard and listened to, and because of that, they trust us, and so then we can sell them anything. And that sits somewhat like it's a little like dicey for me to be like, yes, I'm just gonna say a bunch of stuff so that they could just believe me, and then I'll sell them whatever I want to sell them. Like that's a little iffy for me, right? But now let's look at the data. So here's some of the data. This is since they've started changing their brand and all their content that they do. You can see like not much has changed. There's been these spikes, but they're not moving the needle to a next level, right? Like here's where they were still talking about mortgages and stuff like that, and then they started getting to like some conspiracy stuff and other things, and so like it started like you get these spikes, but then it just sort of like on some of these like they die down, and there's like another spike because that's another Bill Gates video, but like on when you're trying to see growth, you're trying to see it go like this, a spike, it's a little higher, a spike, it's a little higher, a spike, it's a little higher. This is staying pretty plateaued and sometimes just dying completely off. And this is the subscribers on the weekly basis. This is videos on weekly video views, right? So like they sort of pop off and then they go back down. Here, there's like a complete drop off. They must have deleted something because that's usually what that happens there. But I don't see very consistent growth. In fact, I think they've sat at 300,000 now for almost about a year. And so that's where they have to reevaluate who they should go after. Should they actually be going after Bill Gates? I don't know. Does that help them sell? Maybe. But the numbers and the growth is sort of stagnant now, right? Because Eminem, for example, cannot just continue to make diss tracks all day, every day. He has to be able to adapt and change. And most of his album or his discography, he did adapt and change. Revival is just a terrible album. So he had to bring up that spike in, and then I assume if he comes out with another album, it'll be completely different from Kamikaze. All right, so that's the fair warning of just don't make shit up. All right. All right, 7, maintain respect. All this is going to require you to be respectful. It is, all right, and professional. We're not just trying to poke bears left and right here. The goal is isn't to start an online feud. It's to engage in a constructive conversation around a topic that's shared by an influencer, or that is discussed by the masses, or that is found within the industry. It's to spark that conversation and get people thinking, get people to critically think. And here's the big insight. And I bring this insight from very personal experience. All right. I actually left a very high demand religion last year. And the reason why I was able to leave that religion, so technically I was in a cult. The reason why I was able to leave that religion was because I started to critically think through it. And that's what happens when you spark constructive conversations. So you can actually pull people from other people's audience, or pull those cult believers from other people's cults, when you get them to start thinking critically about where they're at. And you can do that by being respectful and by providing real insight and value and getting them to start questioning their surroundings and their perspectives, right? And then you sort of come in to fill it in with, you know, your insights and your value. All right. So that's where it happens. Constructive conversations is what creates people, what gets people into the possibility of thinking more critically about something. And then from here is you got to build relationships. Building relationships is still vastly important. So over time, you know, this method can lead to relationships. So for example, Graham Stephan sometimes would make videos about Dave Ramsey. He remained respectful in those videos. He said what he didn't like. He offered better insights to certain things or his own point of view and perspective, while never personally attacking Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey then had Graham Stephan on his show because he was like, man, Graham Stephan's great. You know, we have differing points of views about, you know, credit more than anything, but I like this young man and I'm bringing him on a show. And so, you know, Graham Stephan got onto Dave Ramsey's pulpit. Now imagine that. Imagine that you, as a cult leader of your cult, gets brought on to speak to someone else's cult. That is incredible. And that's only possible when you're respectful and are able to build those relationships. And so I often see this a lot, where when people are using this method, while they're you know, pointing out misconceptions or correcting things, as long as they remain respectful and show somewhat some you know, honor to what that other person has built, they're able to then build a relationship that can draw both those audiences together, right? So if your content is of high quality and adds value, other creators in your niche or space will notice and appreciate your contributions. And that's basically what happened with Dave Ramsey and Graham Stephan, right? All right, quick disclaimer about this whole thing. Again, it's not to create drama. We're not here to create drama. Drama is just drama, and that's what it is. We're here to create a little bit of controversy, right? But then contribute to an existing conversation. The conversation part is the most important thing. And we're doing that in a meaningful way. And we're doing that by providing valuable content, showing respect to other creators. And that's how we grow our audience. And that's how we establish our own influence within our field. Now, you know, this, there's different ways of doing this. I like doing it this way, where we're going to go after these bigger fish. The opposite way of doing this, by the way, and I'm just adding this as a sort of a bonus for those who are very maybe insecure of starting some controversy and trying to go after bigger fish. The other way you could do it is by just bringing in those big fish to you, and bringing in enough of them that you give them a pedestal and give them the mic and have them basically become features, right? If bigger stars are willing to be features on, you know, on your album, so to say, eventually by association, you also become a big fish, right? There's that approach. Oprah Winfrey did that approach in her career. Lewis Howes did that approach. John Lee Dumas did that approach. They brought on bigger fish to their platforms as features in a way, guest features, and that's how we know those names now. Quick side note about Eminem, Jay-Z, who's often considered a great rapper and entrepreneur and businessman. Out of most of his albums, he doesn't have many features, and I think I forgot which album it was, but on one of his albums, he only had one feature, and that one feature was Eminem, because that's how much respect Jay-Z had for Eminem. So that's always fantastic. Now, friendly reminder: the only way this method works is you're damn good at what you do. All right. If you're not good at what you do, take your time. Eminem didn't just come out with the Slim Shady LP
I think I got him.
and start dissing people if he couldn't back it up, right? The fact that he was with Dr. Dre to produce that album already showed he was who he was, and he was damn good at it. All right. You're going after river monsters, not guppies, so don't go after the guppies. You don't want to bring attention to people that are below you. No need to. And you're not trying to start an all-out war. That's not what you're here to do. In fact, you're just trying to have a peaceful, trade of an audience. And it happens. And some reading recommendations for all of you: Primal Branding, The Social Code, and Expert Secrets. I say these are your beginner books for understanding the way cults are built when it comes to brands and marketing. And then after this, you can get a little more specific and narrowing down each one of these types of principles.
I'm giving him some love as well. I'm getting him flustered, but I'm giving him love.
Books about there's a book called The Iconist. There's a great book called what is it? Great Art Steel. Where's that one? No, where was that one? I have it. I can't see it from my bookshelf here. But there's a lot of great books. Contagious is another awesome book. Those books sort of dive deeper into some of these cult building principles, but I would always suggest that these are the books that you should be reading front to back constantly to always know what you're building and working on. All right. If not, if you do this wrong, if you apply the Eminem diss method incorrectly, you'll end up like this. So don't do that. All right. I don't want to see you guys having to go to a different industry, selling Amway or something, or, being a door-to-door salesman somewhere. Yeah, I want to see you guys succeed and do awesome. All right. So if you're into pearl necklaces, that's on you. All right. So that's what I got going. Zeki, if you want to bring the people on so we can do the Q&A, I'm going to take a drink of my Coke Zero here.
Yes, sir. Let's jump right into it. All right. So first and foremost, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming through, man, and giving us all this sauce. I appreciate it. And I know at the beginning you mentioned that you got a couple more topics you could dive into. So I got a little bit of a question for everybody who's tuning in. I saw some comments coming in. I saw somebody even said that this is the best live that they've tuned into in months. I don't know who it was that dropped that comment. I think it might have been Kelly, but I saw a comment come in saying that. So here's my question for you guys. First off, before I ask the question, let's show Anthony some love. If you haven't already stabbed the heart reaction on this video, I want you to do that now. Try to rip that heart apart, hit it as many times as possible, and let's show him some love. Make sure to drop a hashtag cult in the comments so we know who's all here, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. I want to know who's all active here in the community. So my question for you is, who would like to see Anthony come here again? And, if you remember the topics that he touched on in that slide earlier that he said he can go into, which of those would you like him to, cover if we bring him back? I don't know if any of you are going to remember that slide. It was a while ago. Maybe for those of you who watched the replay, you might be able to rewind and see what was there.
If you want to show the slide, you can. I queued it up. So you can
we could pull it up, actually. Yeah, let's pull it up. So here's the topics. Here's the topics he hinted at before. Let me know. Put a vote in. I'll let you guys choose, put two of them. Put your top two in the comments. You can just put the number. You can actually don't just put the number, because later when I'm looking at the comments, I won't know what that number is referring to. So put the actual topic.
You can do the one in parentheses too. That's
yes.
help.
Drop which
just
topics.
just to um, sort of inspire people here, the one that I feel people struggle with, and I feel is very important, is the rituals. All right, so that's always a good one to learn about.
Cool. So let us know, guys. Choose one or two topics from this list. I'm going to see which ones we have the most comments for. And if there's enough comments, I see there's enough of a demand that you guys want Anthony to come through again, then I will kidnap him and make him come and train us once again on one of these topics.
All
So
right,
let me know in the comments, guys. I'll give you a little bit of time for that. Now, with that said, let's jump into Q&A.
let's do it.
I'll pull this off the screen for now. So let's jump right into Q&A. I think there were some questions that came in while you were doing the training. So I'll look back and see if I can pinpoint any of those questions that came in earlier. But for anybody who has any questions, anything even just pops up right now as we're talking, drop them in the comments and we'll see. We'll play it by ear. If I see enough questions, we'll keep going. If I don't really see questions, then we'll cut the live short here. Let us know in the comments, or forever hold your peace. This is your opportunity. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go through and look at the previous comments. Anthony, while I'm looking through those
Yeah.
comments, you want to let people know where they can connect with you more, where they can learn from you, where they can get more of your content and stuff like that.
For sure, for sure. So right now, I've sort of gone into the wilderness for a few months. So it was impressive that Zeki found me, and that's just because I've been building behind the scenes, right? Building all this stuff, and so, but I tend to stay pretty active on Instagram, and so you can find me there. But pretty soon, I'm going to be launching a new channel using all the things that I've taught to people for myself, which is always a good thing to do. Because I've been doing this for over a decade now. I don't, let me see, like with my camera, I don't know if with this angle, you can see some of the plaques up there from YouTube of channels that I've worked with. And often those channels are people that have been stuck where they're at for years, and I'll come in and get them unstuck, have them achieve stuff. And then some of those channels have been literally starting from 0 to 100,000. And that's always fun to do as well. And so I'll be doing some crazy things, pulling out all the secrets, and then going a little bit Alex Armozy in the sense that I'm just going to sort of share everything because there's no point in hiding it. And in fact, here's the fantastic thing about YouTube, right? YouTube's been around since 2005, right? So it's barely a preteen in a way. Like it's getting into like these teenage years, right? So it's still new, still young, and a lot of creators, entrepreneurs, businesses still don't get it to this day. And a lot of the things that I learned at the beginning of doing YouTube and working for companies, even working on my own channel at the very beginning in the early days, a lot of those techniques and methods and strategies still work today. And since everyone is always so excited about the new thing, they forget about the foundational things that still work. And so I make sure to always teach that, so that way people can explode in their growth and succeed and get unstuck. And so I'll be sharing a lot of that foundational stuff that probably now sounds like it's new stuff, because that's how it works, right? It's like, here's the new thing, but it's still just foundational principles. And so I'm going to be teaching a lot of that and letting people get it all, So yeah, it'll be fun. So Instagram, Anthony Ambrice, just my full name.
Cool. If somebody wants to drop a link, by the way, in the comments, or Anthony, I don't know if you got Facebook open on your phone, feel free to do that, guys. I don't know if my automated spam filters will block you or anything like that, but you can try. You can attempt to, and we'll see. We'll see what happens from there. So with that said, I do see some questions in the comments.
Right.
So I'll try and go through them chronologically. So the first one that I see here is from Sean Henshaw. I hope I said your last name right, Sean. You've been a part of the community for a while. I've never said your last name out loud. Let me know if I pronounced it correctly. Sean Henshaw. All right. So he said, now, are you using the YouTube automation strategy for this, or just are you just producing your own videos? I guess with your clients, because you're helping your clients do this.
Right. So by automation strategy, what are you talking about specifically?
Yeah, I have no clue. A lot of people talk about YouTube automation. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I will say, like, when I hear YouTube automation, I usually, because I see a lot of ads on stuff like this, like where people talk about like, you know, you could make a YouTube channel without ever showing your face and without ever producing content. And that's what I think when I hear the YouTube automation thing. Check this out. Me and Dan Henry had a secret project where we tried that method, where we did a no face channel, right? We pulled out all the stops. Dan invested a lot of money into it. We created it, and we realized that it takes the same amount of effort that it would to just friggin' appear on the screen. All right. Like that was the truth of it. Except what happens is that without a charismatic leader, it just sort of like the audience shows up and then they just disappear because no one's there. No one's there to continue nurturing them. And so to me, a lot of those like YouTube automated channels and stuff like that are a big scam. They can work in some spaces and niches, but you're going to constantly be producing tons and tons of content that actually just feels like you're producing way too much. And eventually what's happening is that like you could have just done one with your face or hired someone to be the face of your company and taken off a lot faster, made more money over making some like passive income check that sort of does this. Like what's happening is up and down. And from what I've noticed too on a lot of those channels, like they'll have 30 videos go out in 1 month. One of them is the one that hits.
Yeah.
And like, so, and I've worked with channels where we only make one video a month and that thing grew to like 100,000 in a year. So it's like, it's always going to depend on what you're trying to do. And yeah, that secret project that I did with Dan Henry, it didn't work. Like it just fell flat because like, to me, those types of channels require a lot more work than you expect, where Dan could just appear on camera, do his thing and be done for the month, you know? And then this automation thing, he has to manage a whole team or get a manager to manage another team that then they all have to do all these things. It's just, and it's expensive. So yeah. So
it's a shitload of work just to avoid putting your face on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could have taken all that time of work and just, if you were just self-conscious about being on camera, like got voice lessons, worked out, made yourself good looking, and then appeared on camera.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Just
I want to throw something else on
go
top
for
of
it.
everything you just said, because here's the way I see it too. I'll mention this, by the way, for anybody, like you guys are part of my community. We talk about cult building. We talk about building a community around your brand. So when I'm in a conversation with somebody and if they want to get my help with their business and then they tell me they want to build a faceless brand or a faceless business, I don't help those people. And it's not because I hate them or want to see any ill will on them, but it's because this is the way I look at it. You know, for any of you who are familiar with anything to do with my cult building methodology, if you've attended, you know, lives from me or summits, or you're in one of my programs where I've touched on it, or you're part of Cult Builders Elite, then you know everything we talk about here in this community revolves very heavily around you building a brand around yourself. And you don't have to look any further than real world cults. There's one thing you cannot have a cult without. You cannot have a cult without a charismatic leader. Every single cult needs a cult leader, a charismatic leader. Similarly, you can build a brand without a face. Obviously, it's been done by many companies, but as Anthony just talked about, you know, a lot of the stuff people try to do online to avoid putting their face in the brand is going to take a shitload of work just to avoid going on camera. But the flip side, another angle that you had to think about this from is you ended up putting the same work basically that you would have had to put, although doing different things. You put in the same work or more than you would have had to have put in to build a brand with your face. But now you walk away with less leverage from that brand. What I mean by that is I'm going to use Dr. Dre as an example. So Dr. Dre had his come up through music, right? That's what he's known for. And, you know, after he built his name in music, he went on to do other things. And you see many music artists who do this. So for example, he put out Beats by Dre. And that was completely leveraging the personal brand that he had built through the music industry. And we see a lot of other artists who have released, you know, Jay-Z is another good example of this, Rockaware and all the you know, spin-off brands, businesses and things that he's been able to do, leveraging himself and his personal brand that he built initially through music. Now, it's it's going to be hard to do this in music because obviously like the artist is the brand themselves. So obviously they build a personal brand. But let's say hypothetically, if it were more possible that he built, I don't know, his music career without his face, without an identity. It was just you had no clue who's behind the songs. And then he goes and tries to launch another business. He can't leverage that personal brand. He can't leverage that familiarity he's built over the years. Similarly for you, the way I look at my like what I'm doing now with this Facebook group, with this with the online business I have, I love this stuff. I'm a geek with marketing. I plan to be building a personal brand for the rest of my life. But it's going to take different forms. You know, when I think about my life 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, I highly doubt that I'm going to be here in this Facebook group going live in this context, in this, and my business is going to look exactly the same as it is. The offers that I'm selling, the things I'm selling are probably not going to be the same stuff that I'm selling now. It's very extremely unlikely that in 30 years from now, I'm going to be selling the exact same thing that I'm selling now. However, because I'm building a personal brand, because I'm building my own audience, it is very likely, let's say, you know, I go on. One of the things, I mentioned this in lives before, but where I see myself going specifically in this online digital marketing game, one of the things that I plan to do is to write books and become an author. So right now, you know how we read books from like Dan Kennedy, you know, Eugene Schwartz and all that type of stuff. That's what I want to do. I want to have that kind of like, that's where I'm looking down the line, is that people in our space 50 years from now will be reading books by 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐻 about this stuff. And you know, cult building and all that type of stuff that we talk about here. And obviously I'm going to have evolved my process significantly by that point. Now, it's very, very likely some of you tuning in here, as long as I stay consistent in building my brand, I'm still putting content out, I stick the path. It's very likely some of you tuning in here, you know, if you're still in the game 30 years from now, you know, we might have some kind of relationship at that point. But also, you know, let's say, I get to where I just talked about, where I just called my shot to, you will be able to say, you know, I remember when I followed 𝐓𝐡𝐞 from way back then. And I'll be able to, I can launch new things. I can launch spin-off businesses. I can launch things that have nothing to do with internet marketing specifically because of the personal brand that I built. So when you know, people, it sounds like a sexy offer or a sexy idea of building a faceless brand, but you're actually taking away a lot of the leverage. If you think beyond just this business that you're building today, you're taking away a lot of the leverage that you can walk away with if you just get over that and focus on, you know, actually branding yourself and what you're doing and continuing as that evolves, building that personal brand and familiarity with as many people as possible.
I love that. And I want to add to that too, in the sense that like there are brands that feel like they're faceless, but that's not entirely true. There, like one example I can think of, a few examples now that the brain's going. Old Spice. Old Spice was everyone's grandpa's aftershave, and somewhere in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they got a spokesperson and created a campaign that gave Old Spice a face and a persona and a personality, and that just took over YouTube and the internet like crazy. And so now what happened is that women wanted their men to smell and be like Mustafa and sexy like that, and that was the spokesperson. That was the face of Old Spice. If we look at like cereal's just cereal, but it has mascots. It has Tony the Tiger. Has all those types of characters. Like Wheaties is what, cardboard in a box, a cereal, right? And it's like the mascots they use or the faces that they use are athletes, right? Olympic athletes and all-star athletes. I think they still do that. I don't know. I don't need that. But that's the idea. It's like I would recommend everyone watch Air, the Air Jordan movie about the Jordan shoe, because that has a lot to do with branding, and it was Michael Jordan that had to make that Jordan shoe be what it is today, which is an iconic shoe. That has now a legacy for decades. Like Jordan brand and shoe the Jordan brand brings in billions of dollars to Nike, and it brings in millions of dollars to Jordan today, and he doesn't even play basketball anymore. Like he stopped playing basketball decades ago. Like,
Yeah.
but because of how great he is, his name is iconic, the shoe is iconic, the brand is iconic, and it stays with the legacy. But he's still the charismatic leader, even though he doesn't just show his face anymore. But you just sort of, it just carries on. In fact, though, when that documentary came out about him, like Jordan's sales just shot through the roof. Like I was buying Jordan 1 shoes at $100, and then that documentary came out and they all shot up to like 200, 300 again. And I'm like, dang it. Just like, but yeah. So
Nice. Cool. Let's jump back into some of these questions, by the way, man, because I gotta scroll back up. I realized I scrolled all the way down on here looking at the recent comments, but I missed some of the questions from earlier.
I did see one really quick, the one that I think gets asked all the time about like how often should you upload to YouTube? And the answer to that, like I hate giving the answer like it depends, but it does. But I'll give you a little more to that. Really, it depends not on just your topic and niche, but it really depends on you and your level of consistency and quality that you can deliver on every time you make a video, right? So if you work really hard to make a video and you put it out, like you have to calculate how long that took you to put that video out there and then move on from that video. Like don't just sit there with that video that you put out like, oh wow, this is amazing, and then just like, try to do the same thing next week, especially if you can't, right? So like that's a big thing when it comes to consistency. It's not just consistency in the sense of you put out a video every week or every day or once a month or however many you're trying to put out. It's the consistency in how you deliver the message and the quality of the video more than anything. So that really depends on you, the creator. Can you still deliver at all times at that same level? If the answer is no, then it's going to take you less, it's going to take you more time to create content until you get better at it. And so you're not going to put out as much content. Once you get really good at putting out content, then you can sort of accelerate how much content you put out. But again, you have life. Maybe if you don't have editors or if you don't have a lot of people, I usually always recommend just do one a week. That gives you enough time to put all the effort you can into it, to put all the work you can into it, promote it, and then you worked for the next week to put out something again. So that's usually my recommendation. And then from there, once you have a team or once you get faster at it, then you can do 2 a week. But really the sweet spot for YouTube, and I hate saying this because then people are like, well, I'm going to do that. It's like, again, you can only do that if you can deliver on the consistency of the quality of the content and your message. The sweet spot for YouTube is 3 videos a week. But that also depends on which topic you're talking about, because gaming, for instance, or vlogging, you can do one every single day because the audience wants that and expects that from someone. But if you're doing talking head marketing, most of the spaces that we're in, usually 1 a week, 2 to 3 will just be fine. If you go beyond that, it just starts to
I think I have them. I think he's going to smirk.
A college lecture class, and nobody wants to feel that way. So, yeah.
Cool. For sure. Awesome. All right. So our next question we got here, man, is from Lewis. He said, if you decide to take on an industry, do you have to actually find a specific leader in that industry to go after?
So yes, because you need to learn to see what they're doing, what they've done. You need to find out how they built their cult, right? You need to, like, when you look at, so like for instance, when Russell tries to teach about like the Dream 100, and there's like grab all these people so you can like hijack their audience and leverage them, like to me it's like that is great. I love that process, but when you find the person that you're going to go after within that space or industry, I expect you to know as much as possible about them, right? And you should, because you need to be able to have, leverage. You need to be able to have stuff to talk about. You need to be able to show how you are different from them, right? Because like if you both come in with the same origin story, it's like, well, why are you special? Like, like you came up the same way. Like, why is that special? So it's like you need to be able to tell a different story be able to say different things and and again add to that conversation. Um, and that's really what it all comes down to. It's like it's your perspective, your expertise, your knowledge is going to add, because it's going to add to what they brought to the world. But now you're bringing it with who you are, your own identity, your brand, your personality, and that's what makes you stand out above anyone else. But oftentimes, like especially when we see someone like Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy come out, and it feels like they came out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, they did in a way, but sometimes when you look back at them, you see that they've been doing it for a while, and no one cared who they were until until the people started caring, and then everyone tries to become them. Like, I don't know if people are familiar with Peng Joon, which I don't even know what he's up to nowadays. But Peng Joon wanted to be the Gary Vee of, I don't know, Asia or something, or just wanted to be the Gary Vee of ClickFunnels. And I had to tell him, I was like, you can't do that. You have to be Peng Joon. Like, and I built a strategy for his channel, and he took off to 100,000 subscribers. And when he was finally himself, he stopped being Gary Vee. And oftentimes, like, I think throughout my career, since I've been doing this for a little over a decade now, it's like I get to sort of like, now I have to tell people you can't be Alex Hormozy because you didn't make $100 million and you're not swole. like so relax, be yourself, right? And build your own cult and your own following. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, man, with Alex Hormozy, because even the whole, wave, it kind of died down a little bit now. I remember it was way bigger before, but it's still around, of like everybody trying to do quote unquote Hormozy style reels with the captions and everything. I've had so many pitches in my inbox for people, and now I started doing the short form content more. I wasn't doing short form content too much, but now I recently I created a system to start recording every week, and I started publishing now this week, a little bit before. And I'm doing the short form content. So I'm in the middle of hiring a video editor right now. And I've had a lot of people in my inbox with their what they think is a sexy pitch, that, hey, I can do Hormozy style reels for you, the same kind of captions, the same emojis or whatever. I'm like, for me, I'm like, I specifically do not want anything that looks remotely like his. I'm putting captions in my stuff
Right.
because it's advantageous, but I don't want it to look like him. And it's crazy the amount of entrepreneurs I see now.
Yeah.
That like, it feels like most people I see doing short form content, their stuff looks like almost the same, even the font that they choose, to Hormozy's. Where if you're building a brand, I want people to be able to look at my content and instantly recognize that comes from Zeki and it does not come from anybody else.
Yeah.
So that goes for, even for those of you who are in my community. I've had people in the past, luckily none of my clients are like this now, but this was earlier in my program before I realized I needed to warn people about this in advance, or else they're automatically going to tend towards it. But I've had people come into my program when I first started it out, and then what they would do is just start copying elements from my brand. So they saw that I got the whole secret society, cult builders vibe, and they're like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. They're going to copy the same kind of fonts. They're going to copy all the things that they see. And I see people doing that with their other mentors as well. Do not do that. The whole idea of you building a brand is for you to be distinct and different from everybody else.
Isn't that the whole strategy behind legendary marketers?
I never went through LM myself, but from what I understand, it seems like it. And I still see people doing this. I don't know who's currently preaching this for TikTok, but I still see people doing this strategy of just copied content on TikTok. And it's just so stupid, man.
I definitely see that throughout YouTube, especially with thumbnail creation, like where it's like every affiliate marketer has the same look. And it's like, until you can get a different look or stand out, like it's going to all be the same. And it's not good.
For sure, man. All right, let's see what other questions. Let me see if I got any other questions here in the comments. I think there were more, so I'm just going through it slowly. Again, guys, if you have any questions that came up while we're talking, drop them below, because if I get to the end of these comments and I run out of questions, the live ends there. See what we got.
Yeah,
right,
I would
so
say,
one thing I would say that I appreciate, by the way, Tor, what's happening, brother? My Viking brother in here. He came down from Valhalla to share some gems with us, and I see he dropped some notes and some takeaways from Anthony's training. So I'd like to challenge everybody who's tuning in right now. We got a couple of you live with us, and I know some other community members will be on the replay. Drop your biggest takeaways. You can do, one to as many as you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever stands out in your memory right now from what we talked about this whole time, especially, anything that has caused a perspective shift for you. I would love for you guys to drop that in the comments, because who knows, maybe you caught on to something as well that some of us, it kind of went over our heads and we didn't even catch on to that little thing. We tuned out for a moment, or we just didn't really let it sink in. So drop your biggest takeaways in the comments down below, and let's see what everybody's got to share.
I was gonna note that if someone says I'll make you Alex Hormozi style vids or videos, that's a red flag. All right.
100%. If they say they're gonna make you anybody's style videos, that's a problem. Do not get excited about that. That's a very, very bad idea. All right, I got a question for you, man.
Oh yeah, go for it.
It's kind of feeding off of the stuff that you said.
Yeah.
So, so you talked about using controversy in going for specific leaders in a space that you're trying to that's like your heretics in your brand.
Yeah.
By the way, just FYI, so we use the term heretics here in the community, or sometimes heathens, to refer to the same thing you were talking about.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So you mentioned going for specific, like let's say Dave Ramsey, if you're in the personal finance space.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this other approach? So this approach I see a lot among political YouTubers. So people who are on the left versus people who are on the right, like Matt Walsh does this, and some other people where they're not necessarily they do content going for leaders in their opposed philosophies, but also what I'll see them doing are these reactions to some of the viral videos that like of TikTok and things like that. And I'll say, and I have a little bit of a selfish reason why I'm asking. I have my own opinion on the stuff, but one of the things I'm planning to do now with my short form content is I got a list of heretics for my brand. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start because there is a gold mine of stuff, depending on what you sell and what you preach. You can go on Reddit, you can go on, TikTok, you can go on YouTube, and you can find the most viral content that's preaching like very opposing philosophies to what you talk about. So basically, part of my strategy, what I'm planning to do, and I talked about this with my Cult Builders Elite members recently, is I'm gonna, some of my short form content is actually going to be reaction videos and me essentially coming back at some of those contents that are pieces of content that are going viral but preaching opposing methodologies or ideals, and I'm going to be coming at it with my view. So what are your thoughts on, aside from going for specific leaders, just going for kind of, because it might fall under the whole guppies category. Some of these people are just random folks, but it's viral content again, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. So when I address guppies, it doesn't necessarily mean like nobodies, right? Like guppies, I'm still looking at thought leaders and entrepreneurs in the space. They're just not that great, right? Compared to you, right? Like if you compare yourselves and you're like, oh man, this person's right here, I'm right here. And the first time I ever heard this process being shared, I think I want to say it was a LinkedIn post. Yeah, on LinkedIn by Russell Brunson, which was wild, right? This is like back in the days. And he mentioned that he doesn't talk about other software that he's already surpassed. So if he already knows that ClickFunnels has X amount of users, he's not going to talk about a software that he already passed, right? He's beyond that. It's like, why am I going to bring attention to some alternative software? Like it's no point. I'm going to go after the next software that's bigger than me, and I'm going to go after them, right? And I think that's when he started making the transition of like ClickFunnels is better than WordPress, which I don't know if that was a very good distinction. In the whole idea of website building and whatnot, right? But to answer that, in replying to people who are just sort of creating content about a specific, space, whether that's make money online, right? That's where you're not attacking the person; you're going after the idea that they're sharing, and so you want to be very intentional with that, right? I follow this guy named Dan McClellan who spends his content is literally doing that with other creators' content when they talk about the Bible. So he basically tries to, he's like a Bible scholar with a doctorate in Hebrew and all this stuff. And he's like, so he spends his time sort of, answering disinformation about scripture. And so the way he addresses it is like, he's like, please do not give hate to this creator. You know, I'm not attacking him personally. I'm sort of looking at his claims and I'm going to tell you what the evidence shows about those claims. And that's how he presents it. And it's very professional. It's very unique. And he just drops facts after fact after fact. And then and that's it. Like he's never attacking the person personally. He's never saying like, well, that, like, what they said was super dumb. No, he's just saying like the evidence doesn't show that. And he will use like, that's utter nonsense what was said here. But again, it's not directed towards the person, right? And so that's one way to bring it up. It's like I see like Ben Shapiro will look at TikToks and comment on them, and like he'll like not comment on the subject matter most of the time. He comments on the person, like, look at this person, so weird, and whatever, right? However, Ben Shapiro talks. I'm not gonna do impressions here. But then like it avoids the thing that was addressed, right? Or the thing that was talked about. So as long as you talk about the thing and not the person, then you're gonna look a lot better, right? Because you're not attacking the person, you're attacking the ideas themselves. And so one example that I give even when I work with clients sometimes, like, and I tell them to do the verses, sort of like, let's compare Airbnb versus e-commerce. Which one's better, right? Now, the truth is, if I have a client who's in e-commerce, I'm gonna be like, dude, let's talk about how e-commerce is better than Airbnb. Like that's like, we're gonna switch those two things around because both of them have their pros and cons, and it just depends on what the audience is able to do and will gravitate to. Because even if we make those videos, some people will still be like, oh, e-commerce is, I could do e-commerce way better than I could do Airbnb, or I could do Airbnb way better than I could do e-commerce. Even for me, like when I'm talking about YouTube, it's like YouTube's way better than TikTok. But the truth is, like, eventually I'll tell you, like, you should probably put stuff on TikTok too, man. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, you need to have stuff on the platform, but it's always going to be presented in a way of like, here's your focus, keep your focus here. Here's the thing you're working on selling. Here's the thing that here's the philosophy. And then eventually later on, it's like, all right, here's how you adapt this to another platform. But yeah, so that's how you would go after that. Because if you go after a person, then you're just like sort of being a bully.
Yeah.
And
Sure,
then you're just gonna get more backlash because of like, I'm like, why is this marketer going after some teenager?
Yeah. And I think this ties back to one of the points you mentioned. And this is an important point to understand if you're going to be using controversy and polarization in your brand. Because again, everyone who's watching this, like everybody here in my community, the vast majority of you are selling info products for the most part. Some of you are also service providers, but whatever it is, for the most part, I think most folks here in my community, you're dealing with information and you're trying to position yourself. Even if you're a service provider, you're trying to position yourself as a thought leader, right? So when it comes to leveraging polarization and when it comes to leveraging controversy, a key thing, and Anthony mentioned this in the training, is, and it's in the caption of this video too, is it needs to be based in truth. You have to be able to back up what you're talking about. So you're not trying to create, because where I see a lot of people going wrong, there's a lot of ways people like fuck up with controversy, but one of the ways that I really see people mess it up is when they try to be controversial just for the sake of being controversial. And this is where you'll see influencers do publicity stunts and things that weren't very intelligent for them to do, and fall into even a lot of the stuff that Anthony just touched on, and bullying people and this and whatever, things that end up making you look bad because you're just trying to be controversial. It is useful to be controversial and it's very advantageous for you, but it's only useful when it's actually based in gen you know, your genuine beliefs, your genuine opinions, what your actual message, and what's true or what you believe is true, and you can back it up. So when you get backlash, because you are going to get backlash, if you're really controversial, you are going to get backlash. You need to be able to back it up, and you need to be able to dig your feet in and not do the stereotypical influencer thing of recording an apology video that's going to end up destroying your career.
I mean, here's one thing too. Like, people who um, people who really are passionate about what they believe in, when they get hit with the backlash and like all this stuff, they're not going to apologize for it. They're going to ignore it and just keep moving on because that's like their beliefs, right? Because as soon as you're trying to do an apology video, you've already shown that, like, like, oh yeah, I was just trying to do this to get attention and it didn't work to my favor, so now I have to apologize to fix things. It's like, no, like, most of the people who are very passionate and controversial about what they believe in and do never do an apology video. Like, and I mean, in a way, like, if we want to get more philosophical and stuff like that, or and the whole idea of just being a good person, it's like, you shouldn't do stuff where you have to make an apology video. And, so that's always what the disclaimer or the warning is. Like, don't get to a point where you're going to have to make an apology video, and really that happens when you're just making shit up, like, and trying to just be controversial just for the heck of it. And I see marketers do that, and I've talked to them personally, and they'll like literally say like, oh no, yeah, man, I'm just sparking controversy. And I'm like, yeah, but like you're good at what you do. Why you want to do it that way? It's like,
And the thing is, you don't need to do that, because it's not hard to spark controversy by just attacking, like, the dogma of your industry. Because whatever space you're in, whatever field you're in, there's going to be certain points that you have disagreements with that have been preached for so long by everybody and never questioned and thought about, that has just turned into accepted dogma. But it might not be true, or maybe it is true to a certain extent, but there's part of the picture that's missing. So you can literally, like, you don't have to do unnecessary, untruthful things to start controversy. All you have to do really is get clear, sit down, scroll through your newsfeed for the next half hour or an hour, and start jotting down what everybody's preaching in their content, time and time again. And then after you've done that, sit down, look at that list, see what keeps getting repeated by everybody, and ask yourself, when I think about these things, which of these do I actually disagree with from my experience? Either I think they're completely false and it's completely misleading people the wrong way, or maybe it's not completely misleading people the wrong way, but it's creating a false perception because they're emitting some kind of detail or information or whatever, and I can provide extra light. You start talking about that stuff in your content. This is, by the way, this is like a pro gold tip for you guys to write down that I talk about. Anyone who's tuning in right now that's in Cult Builders Elite can vouch. Like, this is the thing that I focus on with them, is if you can focus more of your content and your message around your points of contention and difference between you and other leaders in your market, or what the market says in general, what's preached as the mainstream gospel, that is going to go way further for you than preaching the same shit as everybody else and repeating all the things that everyone's already hearing from everybody. And they don't need you to tell them again that they have to be consistent. They know they have to be consistent. So, it's fine for you to mention that in your content, but if all your pieces of content are just saying, hey, reminder, be consistent, have a positive mindset, they already know that. Everybody's telling them that. They don't need you to tell them. What are the things you disagree with? What are the different perspectives you can bring to the table? Focus your message more on that. And that will create controversy.
Yeah, there was a fantastic creator, and I don't know what happened to her. I think she's just living life with her millions, and that's great. Much respect to her. But Vanessa Lau, I loved her content. I haven't seen too much of it recently, but when she came out, she presented herself very differently from most people, where she would sort of share her story of like what she's building her course, she's working hard doing the coaching, and then she's like, and then on the weekends she's like, I just binge watched Netflix this whole day and did nothing. And it was such a contrast from the idea of hustle, 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 where now, like, I see Vanessa and she's like, I do the work, I get it done, and then I do whatever I want to do. If that's binge watching Netflix, I binge watch Netflix. I don't look at anything. I don't care. I'm doing me. And then when time comes, I'll go back to doing the work that I need to do. And I was just like, man, that's amazing, because with most people, it's like, you got to be working all the time. It's like, do we like, and here's another example really quick. Sometimes you see like these faceless Instagram accounts where it's like, Warren Buffett reads 5 books a day or some stupid claim, right? Like of Warren Buffett's special routine, or even freaking Mark Wahlberg put out his morning routine, which is insane. That no human should be doing, but he does it, right? Hence the way he is, and that's cool for him. But that's the thing. That's Mark Wahlberg, who doesn't have to show up somewhere to get a check. Everyone else currently is showing up somewhere to get paid to pay the bills. So there's no way they're going to be waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning. None of us here can do the rock schedule because our life isn't that. like we can't do Warren Buffett's schedule because we are not Warren Buffett. And the fact is, they didn't do that their entire life. No, they worked up to being able to do whatever the freak they want to do. And so that's how that works, right? And so you could be controversial there. So you can say like, you can look at that and sort of throw stones at it, like, this is dumb. If you're not Warren Buffett, you cannot read all these books. Like, you don't have time to read all these books. You need to be working
or it's
on
not
your
even
program.
a wise or it's not even a wise investment of your time.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, man. You got people who are just trying to start their business, and then they're reading books about how, you know, the major Fortune 500 companies are marketing. It's like, what use is that to you? That's not useful for you. That's not where you are.
You don't have millions of dollars in ad spend to hire a celebrity or show up on a Super Bowl commercial. That ain't happening. In
Exactly, man.
fact,
All right.
I
My
was
bad.
just gonna say,
Continue going,
just to add that. In fact, when you're looking at Fortune 500 companies, and this is something that I learned from the Primal Branding book, most of them are not doing that to bring new audiences. They're not. They're just doing that to keep things steady and be like, we're here and we're the best, and we can spend all this crap ton of money putting out ads all day, every day. Ask Coca-Cola, because that's all we're doing. This is just part of our, like, millions of dollars in ad spend and ad and promos and TV commercials and all that stuff for a company like Coca-Cola is basically us doing Facebook posts.
Yeah.
That's that equivalence there. All right. And so don't think
it's funny, man, because I mean, if we want to go deeper into this topic, I'm not going to go into a whole tangent, but it's actually funny because I went to, so I didn't finish university. I like dropped out because my business ended up taking off, and I was like, you know, forget it. But
Nice.
when I was in university, I was going for business, and I remember taking marketing classes because I wanted to do, like, I was still deciding which specialization I wanted to do. I wanted to go into marketing, and I remember sitting in the marketing classes, and we talked a lot about, you know, what big companies are doing and all this. And the funny thing, like, people don't even realize when they read those books and they're trying to implement things they learned because Coca-Cola is doing this or Pepsi's doing this, is a lot of their decisions that they make with their marketing have nothing to do with the goals you actually want to achieve in getting customers and building your business to profitability or to the next level based on where you are now. Because some of their decisions, they will make marketing decisions that actually cost them a heck of a lot of money. There's no way they can track if they're getting a return on it. And they might even know that they're losing money, but they simply decided to do that because there was a boardroom meeting and they know that it will appease certain investors if they do this thing and win this award, even though it's actually flushing money down the toilet. So this is like a random tangent, so I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's just funny to me. It's funny to me when I see people, you know, they see those Instagram things and they're like, okay, read 10 books a day, you know, go to sleep at midnight and wake up at 2:35 a.m., start your day, whatever, do all this. And then they're trying to take that advice and they're not even thinking if it's relevant to them.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's jump back into the questions
for sure.
before we go too far into tangents here. All right. So I see somebody asked, when you're building your own brand and identity, what questions do you ask yourself? So I'm interested in hearing how you approach it personally, man.
Definitely. I mean, so it goes back to like in that slide of cultivating your YouTube empire, I first think about the origin story that I have to tell. I think about my story, and I love the idea of an origin story because I'm also a big like Marvel comic book guy. Um, because those stories are literally what sort of set the basis of what those goals and aspirations are. And throughout life, that journey, those goals and aspirations are going to change depending on what obstacles you face or what things you achieve, right? And so that's the first thing I look at. I look at like, okay, well, what's my story? Like what's my goal? Like, where am I trying to get at? And at first, sometimes when we're first building a brand, we might be too grandiose. We're just like, I'm going to change the world. It's like, man, it's great to be like that, but we're going to have to like come down from the mountain a little bit because some of us haven't even gone to the base. Like we haven't even driven through the path to get to start climbing the mountain yet. And so it's sometimes like that big goal is out there, and then I have to like scale it back just a little bit to be like, all right, I need to get here first. So for all of us as business owners or people who are starting businesses, first thing we got to do is make sure we can keep the lights on. Like without that, there is no point in continuing. Like we can try to be viral all we want. People who go viral don't make any money. I've gone viral several times with different things that I've created. None of those projects really bring any money in. They just sort of like, hey, and then like you just have to figure out how now you market that. But maybe you go viral in something you don't want to go viral in. So that's the first question. I look at what my origin story is, look at how far I've come to where I'm at today. So it's nice to reflect back to be like, man, I was like working as a dishwasher and now I'm over here. And then I try to find like these comparisons as a way to like sort of build motivation and sort of start using like, here are the saints for this cult I'm building, or here are the other people to look at. So like, for example, in that thing of being a dishwasher, Bruce Lee was a dishwasher at one point. So like Bruce Lee is my homie now, right? And so like I can now relate to that idea. And then I look at, ahead what the goal is. And so then it's just making those steps to there and then trying to figure out, how does that resonate with me? And then how is that going to resonate with my audience? And that's where we start going into that whole like demographics type of stuff. And that's one aspect. But then I look into the sociographics. So I try to think about my audience in the sense of like, okay, what does my audience do like on a day-to-day basis? What is their routine? Right now, a lot of this is going to be a lot of guesswork, but I'm trying to build out this character, like this prime customer that I need right now. Right. And so I'm asking those questions. I'm asking like, what do they care about? What are big life moments for them? What do they concern themselves with? Like what triggers them? What goals do they have? What's holding them back? What are the false beliefs they have? And so I answer a lot of those questions. And then from there, I can then start to figure out like, oh, I can create this ritual because it'll really attract them there. Or I could tell this story because this is a thing they care about because they're married or they have kids. And that's how I start to flesh out that whole thing. And it is a pretty long process. And so that's how I start. I do have like a whole list of those questions that I don't mind sharing if you guys want those. And I do that with every YouTube channel, by the way, because I look at a YouTube channel as a brand. So
Cool. If you guys want it, I mean, I can hit the questions they just said. I could hit Anthony up after this live. Drop a hashtag questions in the comments so I know who's interested. I'll see if there's enough of a demand if you guys want that, and then if so, I'll hit them up and we can get that here in the community for you guys. So with that said, I think there's another question here. You touched a little bit on rituals. I know you can do like a whole training on that separately, but somebody asked in the comments, and I think they misunderstood what you meant when you said rituals initially.
Okay.
But we'll ask the question anyways, and then also you can give like a clarification of what you mean when you're talking about rituals specifically with your audience. But their question for you was, now when you're creating content, is there a certain ritual you do before making a video or posting content? of yourself to build your own confidence?
Oh, I mean, so in a way that's still a ritual, right? So um, I've heard like Tony Robbins does the whole bouncing on a trampoline, push-ups, jumping up and down, breathing stuff. For me, uh, I don't know if you guys seen like how like it was an Anchorman or one of those things where they're reading something on the prompter or like moving their voice or moving their mouth around like or whatever. I don't do that, but what I try to do is my ritual before I turn on the camera and before like everything's checked, like like I script out everything that I'm going to say, by the way. And then my ritual is just having that right there. And then I'm just going to read it in my head, read it out loud, read it like I'm delivering it to the camera. And so I can get those lines to feel good. And I'm saying them and not just reading them. And then I'm adding my own personality. And then I'll just like hit record, and then I'll just deliver my whole video that way. Like I'll keep looking down at the few lines that I want to say them, repeat them. And so I'm not memorizing my script. I'm memorizing sections of my script and then just letting cues sort of take off and then say things how I want to say them. And so that's more of my ritual there. Maybe I'll stretch sometimes just to be like, all right, like I've been sitting down writing this whole thing. Now I got to stand up and so, stretch the joints and all that stuff. That's about my rituals there. Now, rituals for a video, like when you're actually producing your content, a ritual is basically your introduction to your video, right? Like, what is it that you say right off the bat? Like, how do you even appear on camera? Do you like pop out and like you're some sort of Jack in the Box or something? Do you come in with some swagger to be like, all right, let's do this? Do you take off your hoodie? Do you do the thing where you put it looks like you put the phone down? Which, by the way, those are all rituals and those are all cues. Like you've probably seen this on TikTok where like someone puts the camera down and they're recording. It's like, you could have cut that out, right? But no, that's part of the ritual. It's part of the ritual of like, you see the person put the camera there and then you see them take a drink. And they're like, let me talk to you about this thing. And that's the ritual. Like that's showing that personality, the brand. It's all part of that. Even how you ask the first question. I would say like every person that you see present and make videos who has a solid brand, look at how they introduce things, look at how they ask questions, look at how the faces they make. Those are all little rituals and cues that they're showing you, and that then lets you know, oh, like this is the person that I gravitate to. Oh, they're doing that funny thing they always do. Even actors have their own little cues and nuances and rituals and things and ticks and all that stuff that they do. Those are all sort of rituals of how. In fact, throughout this presentation,
Sorry about that.
Most of you who do webinars or do presentations like this, there are these rituals you do of like, Zeki had one where it's like, hey, do #cult. That's a ritual. He's getting you to do something. It's sort of like when you're in a webinar, like everyone who likes this, say hell yeah. Like that's all a ritual. And that comes again from like, cults and religions and all that stuff. It's like, they sing a hymn, they do an opening prayer, they have the announcements. You're supposed to read scriptures every day. Those are all rituals to sort of keep you there and indoctrinated, so to say. So that's what you'll do in your own content. You'll create those rituals.
Nice. Good answer, man. And very enlightening. Appreciate it. I'll throw in another thing just to help you guys because, specifically on the question earlier about like what you do before going on video to help with confidence. Because I know, bringing back to the question we talked about before with the faceless brands, I know a lot of people are afraid to go on video. And I don't know about you, Anthony. For me, when I first started doing video, it wasn't through this personal brand. It was actually when I used to work for a nonprofit organization, and at that point, I decided to just start vlogging what I was doing because I was like traveling from place to place, and just decided to start vlogging it. And I was nervous as hell when I started doing video for the first time. I'm curious for you, Anthony, if you were like natural with video, or if that took time for you to even build the confidence on doing that.
Yeah, I would say So nowadays, like my wife, like if she's in the office and I'm doing videos, she's like, "Why do you sound like that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You're doing your video voice," and I'm like, I didn't realize I had a video voice." But apparently, as you start getting into it, like you'll develop your own voice, your own personality, even on camera, and you'll see this with lots of creators and YouTubers. Like when you meet them in person, most of them are introverts, and they'll just be like super shy, even though you're their fan girling on them, and they'll just be like, okay. like I don't like Russell is an example of that, right? Like Russell is super awkward in person, and he says that about himself. Now, for me, when I first started, like I don't. It's been so long, um, and so I got to think more of like when I start creating content again. So when I start creating content again, when I take a hiatus, like the first few takes that I do, I'm just sort of like I'll intro my own name, Anthony Ambrose, like 20 times because I don't feel like I said it right? And I'm like, dang it, and like, or sometimes I'm trailing off. I'm like, welcome to this, and I'm like, dang it, now I'm fumbling the words, and I got to keep doing it, and I'll take multiple takes until like again I get into the flow of it, and I remember like how to naturally do this a little bit more. But if I go back and look at my old content, I'm like, man, like I look like such a noob and such a beginner, and like it's bad. And I look now, and I'm like, okay, this is like much better. I'm more confident now. But yeah, it just takes time. So I would probably say every time someone has turned on a camera at first, um, like it was hard, it was nerve wracking, but psychologically, my mindset, the way I look at it, I try to look through the camera to like not an audience. I just sort of try to look through the lens and just try to connect with whoever is there. Like I'm not imagining an audience. I'm just sort of connecting through the lens and not and sort of not seeing a camera in a way, right? And then I would say the other thing that I sort of like to look at is more or try to think of when I'm filming a video is sort of like I'm having just a conversation with someone. So again, I'm not looking at an audience. I'm just looking at someone through the lens, and that makes me more comfortable because it's not hundreds or thousands or millions of people. It's just one person that I'm addressing to, and that one person should be the person you're trying to get, right? That customer, that audience that you're trying to speak to, the person who needs to hear what you have to say. Other than that, try to think if there's any other thing. Yeah, I guess you'll develop an on-camera thing, a camera voice. I will say I did have an advantage because I did take an acting class, and taking an acting class was super helpful because like you learned lots of little things about being in front of people and acting and getting into character, and I think that was really helpful for me too. So if there's a local college near you, go, or an improv group or something, do a workshop, take an acting class. If like, and I think you'll learn some tips and tricks there that are helpful to loosen up and feel good. But yeah,
That's a good idea, man. It's a good piece of advice. You know, it's funny that you mentioned the whole thing about when you don't like even now when you don't do content for a while, you start to feel nervous
yeah,
because I am the exact same way.
yeah.
Like, you know, a month ago, so I left to Spain for a while. That's why, for those of you, by the way, here in the community, the reason you haven't been seeing me do a lot of content is I just went on vacay for a while. I was off in Spain, so it was like exactly a month ago from
Nice.
today. I'm pretty sure that me and my wife and I, we flew out to Spain, and I was like, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna enjoy it. I'm not worrying too much about doing content or anything like that. So I didn't. I don't know if I posted anything while I was in. I did post actually. I only posted pictures from Spain while I was in
Nice.
Spain on my profile. So I wasn't doing any type of business content, any of this stuff. I didn't live stream. I don't remember when the last live stream I did here in the community was. It was a bit before I went to Spain. So it's been a while now, and I've been out of gear with content. And I was telling this to my wife the other day because this happens to me every time I take a hiatus, just like you said. You know, for me, content, I've been doing this for years, and content normally comes very naturally to me. And one of the reasons I like doing lives like this, it kind of goes back to what you just said about like having chats and talking with people. Like right now, because we're conversing, it's just so much easier. Like I don't need to plan what to say. I'm just having a conversation. And even when it's just me on a live, when I'm talking with people and I see the comments, it's just interacting. I find doing live so much easier for me personally, versus like if I was doing a YouTube video and just recording to the camera. But the funny thing is, as much experience as I have with content and how long I've been doing it, whenever I take a hiatus, if I take a long enough hiatus from doing content, getting back into it, I start to get this inertia and I start to get in my head and I'm like, I don't know what to, like, I don't know how to break the ice again. The funny thing is, I do know how to break the ice again. I know what to do with content, but it's just, it feels to me again. Like I'm just this amateur getting started. And that's why if you go back, for those of you who go watch the replay at the beginning, at the beginning of this live, I was like fumbling my words and over my words and fumbling and everything. And you know, when I came back from Spain, it was the same thing. I was like, you know, I started writing up a post in the group because I wanted it. And that's, if you go in the group and you see the post I put up like last week where I'm like, here's why I've been antisocial and haven't been posting or responding. That was me figuring out how to break the ice. So I just figured, you know what, let me just do a post saying why I haven't posted in a while.
Yeah.
And then
Welcome to the
the
Seppola, the online growing STD online, Malin. Welcome.
Again to me, but I had to break the ice initially because I didn't do it for a while. So it's funny that you mentioned that, man, because I go through the exact same thing.
So there's two things that as you were saying that can help with a lot of this too, right? One of them is always having a ritual of how you introduce things, right? And so like that's where rituals become important, because if you already know the way you intro things, then you just have the script already in your head to do the intro, right? You're not trying to make up a new intro every time. And it'll flow easier. And then the other thing that I think everyone here can do, and that's fantastic, is stories on Instagram and Facebook, right? Stories are a great way to just practice being with the camera in your face and talking. And the great thing is that you can delete them whenever you want. They just last for a day and they're gone. Nobody's going to ever remember them. But that gets you practicing to sort of share thoughts and experiences, even if it's just talking about like, oh man, today, like I'm tired, but I got to do the damn thing. And it's just that sort of naturally sort of sharing and narrating, and being able to narrate what you do will help you also tell better stories later on. But then that gets you just sort of comfortable being in front of camera, because you know that, you know, it'll go away in a day, or you can make it go away later in that evening. But it's getting you practice more than anything.
For sure. Cool, man. All right, brother. I think we kept you here for like 2 hours. I don't see
No
any
worries,
more
man.
questions in the comments, so I think we'll put a cap in it here for here. What I would like to request from everybody who's tuning in, first off, let us know if you're tuning in, because there's probably some folks who've been watching and haven't commented, and that's totally cool. Like I'm fine with the lurkers here in the community. We love you. We ain't got no problem with that. However, I would like to know who's active here in the group and who is consuming this content, and even more so, who benefited from this content. So first off, let's show some love to Anthony. Let's drop a thank you, Anthony, in the comments to, you know, show him some appreciation for coming here and spending 2 hours with us tonight. And make sure to smash that heart reaction if you haven't already. Help us get some juice in the algorithm so that more people in our community have seen it. Zacky's been completely silenced for a while, so it's going to take a little bit of juice now to get it out to everybody in the group, since Facebook has seen me not posting for a while. So let's give this some juice and, you know, let more people benefit from this content here, because I think it's going to give some, you know, a lot of you said that you got light bulbs from this. I'm sure other people will get the same. Let's drop some love. Let's give a thank you to Anthony. And what I would also love to hear from you guys again. I know some of you dropped comments, but you can drop them again. We never get too many comments here. Let me know if you want to see Anthony here in the community again. If you want him to do one of those other trainings that he hinted at earlier. And if I see enough of a demand, then I will, like I said, I will send my goons to kidnap him, and we'll have him train us again. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see Anthony again. With that said, I appreciate all of you guys for coming through. Make sure to drop a hashtag cult in the comments, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, so I know who's all here. Smash that heart reaction if you have not done so already. And Anthony, I know you mentioned it earlier, but let's just leave it off in the video again with where people can best connect with you and learn more from you.
Yeah, Instagram at Anthony Ambreese. And I think if you put Anthony YouTube strategist, that should pop up as well. But yeah, that's I answer all the DMs, and you're welcome to comment and say what's up there. But yeah, and again, thank you so much, man, for allowing me to speak at your pulpit here to all these amazing cult builders, man.
It was my pleasure. It was awesome having you. All right, my man. It was good spending the night with you. Everybody, thank you for tuning in from home or wherever you are. Again, let us know in the comments, hashtag cult if you're watching this live or on the replay. Stab the heart reaction so that I can get more juice here in the algorithm. And I will see you in the next live that I announce. So keep an eye in the events tab in the group. And if you haven't turned on the notifications of our group, I highly suggest doing that because I will be bringing more fire guests and possibly bringing Anthony again to share more amazing things with you. So with that said, you guys have an awesome night, morning, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you soon. Peace out.
That was good. That was holy shit. I've been at this now for 3 hours ish. 3.5 actually. So today, seriously, if you're one of those people who's trying to create something online, what you just witnessed was an amazing freaking presentation. Is now live for everyone to see. If you're watching this on the replay, type hashtag replay. If you're watching this live, type hashtag legacy forger. See, I'm doing rituals now. Thank you, Anthony. I'm going to talk to Anthony. I'm going to have him on the shift. Or maybe, I'm not sure. I'm creating something as of late. Something that might be a new thing. And it's interesting. The tales of Norse mythology and how to bridge those things. And all these things that we were talking about to create a life that you really want to fucking live. A life in complete freedom. Where you don't have any requirements other than what you put on yourself. It's dawned on me this last week. It is going to continue to dawn on me because today I became an employer. So many things are happening, and I'm going to bump this up way more than I have. And what you just saw, if you have been watching the replay now and you're at 3 hours in, I see you. You are a fucking warrior. But to recap what we've done this video, this live stream has been quite unique because we started off spying on a fucking content creator, spying on an expert. It's just saying it. The title says it. Just chillin' and spy on an expert. I was sitting there and I was providing live commentary, much like a Australian wilderness commentator. Look at this wild animal, right? Looking at this Asian person creating a lead magnet for his business. He was doing the thing. He was hustling. He was creating something of value to his followers. He was doing all the things in design and creating it and mapping it out and finding links. I was like, I love this. And then it dawned on me, this is very new because I tagged him, of course, in the live stream. I tagged him on Facebook. I created engagement around him. Then I found this other person who I had live training with and I jumped in there. This is also on this live right here. That sucked, to be honest. I had to leave. It was bad. But after that, we find this. 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐟𝐭 and Anthony Ambreese, and they are sharing wildly amazing nuggets of content. The Eminem diss. And it dawned on me that I have been doing this all day. I literally dissed a newcomer who tried to pitch me earlier because he was kind of the embodiment of the problem that I see in this entire YouTube industry, wisdom industry, like this entire expert online economy thing. They will pitch you in the first freaking sentence, and they will be so freaking unauthentic that it pains me to see. But I created a video. I almost tagged him. I showed his entire name. If people wanted to give him a break and come in there and say, hey, you suck at what you do, but you can be better. If you are willing to come at with me, I can pay you a little bit for what you do, and you can learn what you're, assuming that you know how to do now. There's so many people that needs help, but they don't see. It's the unknown, right? The subconscious incompetence or the unconscious incompetence. And it's not on them. We haven't been teaching these things. We haven't been taught these things, and people have been talking about these things because if you do, then you're going to lose to the other people in the market, the competitor, and all that shit. This is going to be different. I'm going to create a show, and I'm going to do this at least twice a month. And I invite you to join in because for the first of all, I'm creating an audience. You're watching this right now. Creating an audience, adding value to the people who needs it as they are starting off. Finding amazing nuggets of wisdom by just interacting with other freaking cults. It's a cult. Don't be so literal and offended. I'm saying that because I was literally called a cult leader, and it was not a good thing for that people who called me that. But the thing is, the things you're going to see on these live shows can dramatically increase your income, your freedom, your mindset, everything. You can meet up with new people, like-minded people. If you go together and create something together, I can promise you, you are going to see things that you probably did not anticipate. Simply by sharing your fucking voice.
By being authentic and dramatic on camera.
You don't have to do it my way. I found my way. And I love doing it my way. But with that said, let me break the illusion. I'm starting to feel tired. I've been at this for 4 hours soon. Like in half an hour, 4 hours live. Takes it out of you. I have to shit. I told them my wisdom nugget today was the nugget that never came. Hashtag no pressure was a very false advertisement. And I'm not shitting when I say I have to poop and I'm constipated. But it's been fun. I love what I do. And I hope that you have some value of being here and taking part in this insanity. So with that, all that said, have a fantastic day. I love your face. Take care of your freaking family. And I'll see you when I see you, which is probably in the next one. Until then, keep doing what you're doing. I see you.